Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for some more Nations Championship action in this game. It is an absolutely huge way to start round 3. It is at Eden Park, the All Blacks versus Ireland. For the first time since 2022, these two sides will be taking on each other on New Zealand soil. The last series, the Irish were able to win it 2-1, but the one loss in that series, it was at Eden Park, 42 points to 19, and the All Blacks looking to back it up to remain undefeated in this Nations Championship. But currently the Irish, they are also 2 wins from 2. Looking through at the starting sides for this contest, Ethan de Groot, Cody Taylor and Tyrell Lomax, just like the last match up against the Italians, they will remain as the front rowers, although there is a big change in this locking duo. Josh Lord, number 4, with Patrick Tuipulotu coming in as the 5. Tuipulotu dealt with a fair share of injuries throughout 2026. Josh Lord, he's been in some pretty good form from Super Rugby as well as in that All Blacks kit, but taking out Sam Derry as well as Tupavai from that locking duo, although Derry's nowhere to be seen in this 23-man side, whereas Tupavai, he now moves to blindside flanker. Luke Jacobson in the 7 jersey, Artie Savia, the captain, again at number 8. We did see Jacobson have a bit of a calf tweak in the last contest up against the Italians, but he is now back rearing to go from that open side. Flanker role, Cam Roigard and Ruben Love are going to be the 19 combination. It is the consistent one that Dave Rennie has gone with each and every week of the Nations Championship. Something that has changed every game, though, is this left wing position. This week, it is Josh Morby, a man who made his debut in the last contest just last week. He had 4 clean breaks, 2 try assists. He was absolutely everywhere, probably close to man of the match if it wasn't for Will Jordan scoring himself the hat-trick. But Morby earning the spot in the starting side. Couple injuries on that left wing side as well. But Caleb Clark, he will make his way off the bench rather than starting. For this match, Geordie Barrett in the midfield alongside Quinn Tupai. There were some early week concerns for Geordie Barrett. There was a training that he missed on about Tuesday or Wednesday, but he's fine. And once again, going to be in that number 12 jersey. Tupai, he has come in for Billy Proctor, who's nowhere to be seen in this 23. Proctor got to start the last match. Quinn Tupai, though, starting at 13 up against the French. And that is exactly what they've gone back to for this contest. Will Jordan out on the right wing, now the most decorated try scorer up against international opponents for the All Blacks. And Damian McKenzie, again, will be the number 15. So that is the starting lineup for the All Blacks, ladies and gentlemen. Looking through at the Irish, Tom O'Toole at number 1, Dan Sheehan 2, the captain, and Tyke Furlong. He has had many meetings up against this All Blacks side. He will be the tight head prop, going head-to-head with Ethan de Groot, which should be an absolutely awesome head-to-head to see throughout this match. But Tom O'Toole into the starting side. There's been some real injury concerns for the Irish throughout the last little while. Of course, no Andrew Porter for this matchup. We saw Cian Healy retiring last year, so a bit of a change on the loosehead side compared to what some would be used to seeing the last time that these two sides played. But still, Tom O'Toole, fantastic player. We'll be looking to have a big one here up against Tyrell Lomax. In the locking duo, it is Joe McCarthy and James Ryan. So a very handy duo. Ryan got a bit of a temper on him, but that can work in his favour a little bit. He's one of the veterans of this side. He is also going head-to-head with Patrick Tuipulotu here. McCarthy, a bit of X-factor, though, from that locking connection with Ty Byrne at 6, Josh van der Flair at number 7, and Jack Conan closing out the 4-pack as the number 8. So Byrne and Vay, both men can play lock, but they are playing in the 6 jersey for this contest. So it will be intriguing to see later on in the game with the benches that both sides have selected, whether or not we get to see a reshuffle or whether there are just some straight swaps that happen throughout the later stage. Jamison Gibson Park is the 9 with Sam Prendergast slotting in at 10. He has been talked about a lot coming into this game. In fact, you could argue both men have for very different reasons. A lot of people excited to see Gibson Park show what he can do from that 9 jersey. Sam Prendergast on attack. He is very dangerous on defence. He is also dangerous, but for a whole different reason. The All Blacks will look to target that 19 channel throughout the 80 minutes. Jimmy O'Brien out on the left wing. Stuart McCluskey, who was sensational throughout the Six Nations. He will be slotting in as the 12. Gary Ringrose at 13. That man just throws his body on the line when he gets the chance. Robert Balakoon out on the right. And Hugo Keenan at number 15. Right. I have talked for 5 minutes straight. There are 1,000 messages that I've already missed. So I hope you guys are all doing well. Hope you're excited for this game. I will mention we are about 45 minutes away from the kickoff, maybe 50. We've got plenty of time, but there is so much to break down when it comes to this Nations Championship. Of course, this will be the third round, the last round for a little while until November. That's the next time we see these sides go head-to-head. But we've got there. Let's go, boys. Bring on the 53-0 record. Says Matthew for at Eden Park, and told everyone in the chat from nice sunny Melbourne. And 2 in the morning here in Chile. So a nice early morning start for yourself in this contest. Of course, with the amount of rugby that is on, no matter what time zone you're in, there's at least one game that's actually a decent time. The last game that we're going to be covering will be happening in 15 hours' time, or that's about when it's going to be finishing. That'll be Argentina versus England, which, to be fair, is a pretty good way to close out an international day of rugby. And then if you're still keen for more rugby, the Nations Cup, is taking place, and that runs right through to about 2 p.m. New Zealand time tomorrow, so about 20 hours' time before that one ends. The AO underdog pick is at Hamish and Chat. Big one, mate. Huge game between these two sides. Two very handy teams on paper who have had some brilliant battles throughout recent times. Like I mentioned, the series, the last time the Irish took to New Zealand soil, it was 2-1 in favour of the Irish. They did lose the first test, but won the next two. The one that they lost, it was at Eden Park. This is the game of the day. Says Grant Mulders, hello from Kuala Lumpur. Says Alaya there, welcome in. Hope you are doing well. There, how's it, Hamish? Hope you're well. Have a power weekend. Says Anthony, same to you. You're going to stream the Argentina versus Spain World Cup final. When is it? I don't actually know when the World Cup final's taking place, which is pretty poor from me. I know that England played Argentina in a semi, didn't they? I didn't know who was on the other side of the draw. You seem excited and hyped. I am. I'm excited for this day of international rugby. Of course, things change, and by the about 11th hour of commentary, I might be looking very different, but I'm fresh at the moment. So, of course, you know, with the whole day ahead, internationals, Australia, Italy's an intriguing type of matchup, definitely with the fact that the Aussies are sitting 0 from 2 so far throughout their July internationals. It's going to be an exciting game. Says Anthony there. Hi, Hamish, go the All Blacks. Says Ilaria. I've just realised I'm about 100 messages behind again. We've got Andre in here. We've got Tanner there too. And we should have picked a much more dynamic, explosive front row. Tupai at 6. Doesn't have the physicality. Says Tanner too. I think they've gone for more line-out height, I would think. And then the Segner option off the bench, of course, because of his line-out ability that we see throughout Super Rugby Pacific. But there was an argument that Simon Parker could have found himself in the mix for this contest, definitely if they were rotating the whole team. But as we've learned, with no Kyle Preston and no Bowden Barrett, that wasn't the initial plan from Dave Rennie. Many thought that Barrett would be taken to the field for this matchup. Kia ora, Hamish, says Iron Lion. Morning H, says Andre. Okay, I've had to skip about 100 messages, but I will go back and read them after the stream because there were far too many coming through in quick succession. I think the Irish take this one, says Kevin there. Yeah, tell you what, if anyone was going to be able to beat the All Blacks at Eden Park, for it to be the Irish would be absolutely huge. These two sides, there's a rivalry there, but it's also, I've seen a lot of like nice, respectful back and forth between the teams, which is pretty cool. As a whole, it's something that is becoming more and more rare at this kind of stage of international sport. Why isn't other Barrett playing? Which Barrett are we talking? I assume you're talking Bowden. Bowden just been left out for this lineup, and then Scott Barrett's got a back injury, which is going to be why he is missing from not just this, but also the greatest rivalry tour. It would have to be a close score. Says the underdog. And if we're going to sacrifice our speed and explosive ball carrying ability in the back row, and then we better damn sure steal those lineouts as much as possible, says Tanner too. And obviously the All Blacks need to front up and win the forward ball or forward battle, then go wide. I mean, when you've got players like Josh Morby and also Will Jordan out on the wings, going wide's a great option. And I have to say, I don't know why, but the comparison for Josh Morby of James Lowe, I can kind of see it a little bit, other than the fact that Lowe's got that absolutely huge hoof on him. Maybe it's just the build of the individuals, but Lowe no longer in the equation for the Irish. There are a few players getting a little bit older in this Irish side too, but they have got some young guns coming up through the rankings. We'll be taking them into that next World Cup campaign and maybe even the one after that. Evening, Hamish, let's go. Says ambidextrous and also strong New Zealand. Says Josie and Ireland by 55. Now, I think most Irish would take winning by 5 at Eden Park. In fact, they'd take winning by just 1. But the Irish to win by 55 definitely isn't in anyone's predictions other than your own, Irish Mick, at this stage. But yeah, winning by 5, that would be pretty good as well. I think they'd take 5 as the best 8. The way to use them. Well, it's quite interesting because Ardie Savea, there's still that debate of whether or not he's going to be a number 8 or a number 7. It seems like for the All Blacks, he is in that number 8 role. Maybe that's down to the fact that they feel like they haven't got a replacement 8 at this stage, because Jacobson's playing 7, which some would argue isn't actually his strongest position either. So, yeah, Savea, he's been busy throughout the first 2 matches, although maybe even not as busy as some would have anticipated. They are just showing that New Zealand have won their last 6 test matches up against the Irish. Was that the right one? That might have been, although they did lose in 2022 twice, so they must have played 6 times since then, I would assume. We have got the Stormers beat the Riquas and the Sharks beat the Pumas. And don't see the Irish living with the All Blacks on the dark side, says the underdog. And Morby, in my opinion now, are the most interesting prospect in the current squad. Well, the thing is, people watched him throughout Super Rugby Pacific for the Hurricanes. And, you know, don't get me wrong, scored a whole heap of tries, but I think some maybe underestimated the work that he does to get into the positions of scoring, as well as the assisting part of Morby's game. It's something that he's developed quite a bit throughout the last, I'd say, 12 months or so. Before he headed over to France, he actually got a bit of a reputation as someone who didn't like to pass, who would hang on to the ball at the wrong time and get himself in a bit of trouble by isolating himself. But from going over to the French competition and then coming back, it almost seems like it was exactly what he needed to then develop his game. And now the Hurricanes, as we've seen, are an absolute team unit, the way that they play. And we have got there, will it be a close game? Hopefully a close game. I'm hoping it goes down to the wire for this matchup. How's it, Hamish? Let's go. The All Blacks says chill. Bundyaki, a Kiwi to come on in the second half and score the winning try. Says Andrew Harris. I mean, he's represented Ireland for a long time. Bundyaki, he has had some phenomenal moments in that Irish kit. It's quite interesting, though, that he finds himself now off of the bench rather than starting, and that is just down a little bit to what we've seen from Stuart McCluskey and the form that he's been able to bring to this Irish side. He was one of the absolute standouts throughout the Six Nations comp. So when you keep Aki out of a starting lineup, you know you're doing something right. But it will be a fascinating and interesting game, says Bender, for All Blacks seem to be more stronger. So it seems like they will unleash the power. And sad that Curry Cup legacy is gone. Amateur rugby now. Varsity Cup in South Africa much bigger. Better and more glamour than low-level Curry Cup, says Ian. Well, I think the hardest part about the Curry Cup is the overlap that it has with international rugby. It used to be that you got to see quite a few Springboks in that Curry Cup environment, but now a lot of teams just use it as a feeder for their URC side, so they give players who didn't play in the URC the opportunity just to trial them out. Wasn't Satiti pretty handy anywhere in that loose forward trio, although it doesn't seem like the All Blacks see him as the 8 option. Now, the reason I say that is because last year, and also I think it was actually the year prior, we saw him playing 6 more than anything, even though throughout Super Rugby, he had predominantly been outside of that 6 jersey, a bit similar to Peter Larkai for this season for the Hurricanes. He hardly played 6, but that is because they had the other options of Brad Shields. They had Devin Flanders, who was tearing it up, who was a name that a lot of people wanted to see in this All Black side, other than the fact that he signed that Japanese contract. And we have got there, what do you think, Fiji never playing at home? Or what do you think, Fiji never playing at home in this competition? I mean, the behind the scenes of why they're doing it makes a lot of sense. Unfortunately for them, it's more financial or financially gaining to do it overseas. Plus, I think it was down to the regulations or something along those lines. But it's unfortunate for them because they're always going to struggle away from home, more so than in front of that home crowd. But yeah, the Fijians haven't had the best run as of yet. They lost to Wales. They lost to England by an absolutely massive window. They've got their game coming up later on today up against Scotland. That will be an intriguing one. We have got there, it's called World Rugby not caring about scheduling. Just look at the games we have this weekend across Nations Championship and Cup and under-20s. Says Kevin Robb. Yeah, I think it just comes down to the amount of rugby they're trying to fit in before August. Although a lot of the games in terms of the under-20s and everything along those lines, they could have been a bit more spread out if they wanted to. But even just like later on, you know, a Monday game rather than doing it on the Sunday for the under-20s final. And also, always great breakdown and commentary. Give this fella a like. I support the Kiwi lad. Cheers, mate. What a year of rugby ahead, says Mosey. Yeah, and it's getting bigger and bigger. Of course, that greatest rivalry tour is just around the corner for the All Blacks. For the Irish, they have got a bit of waiting before they are next in action. Their next games will be taking place in November, and that is going to be up against Argentina, also Fiji and South Africa. That one, to close out the year, is a pretty massive game for this Irish side. They'll be loving nothing more than to put in a good showing at the Aviva, perhaps a very different looking lineup to what we see here. By that stage, of course, injuries are a thing, as well as the fact that you're building towards that Rugby World Cup. You want to try out combinations, see which ones work for this Irish side. But take note, 3 matches for Ireland remaining. That is because of course, the Six Nations that they took part in earlier this year. For New Zealand, you ready? They've got this many matches, and there's another page as well. They've got the Stormers, the Sharks, the Bulls, their first greatest rivalry test match up against South Africa. They then play the Lions, South Africa 3 more times across August and September. And then, if that wasn't enough, they then play a Bledisloe that has taken place on the 10th of October. From there, they head to Australia to play the second match of the Bledisloe Cup Series. And then in November, they play Scotland, Wales, and England. So it's a pretty heavy test year for this All Black side. A lot of work to do, a lot of rotation to be had as well, because of course you don't want your same players playing every single one of those matches. We'll see a few rotational teams taking part in those matches against URC sides. But Rennie's big goal will be to have his foundation and have his side worked out before heading into that first South African test match, try and be extremely competitive up against the world champs we have got there. Does Ireland have any chance of breaking the streak? I think they've got a decent chance. Like, what international rugby has taught us in recent times is to never underestimate anyone, because you just never know what is going to happen throughout the 80 minutes. All it takes is a big moment in a game. A red card has been one of those quite favourable ones as of late in terms of changing a favourite from being an underdog. Under-20s game between England and South Africa, probably the perfect example there, how England looked in control, got a red card, then they lost by about 20 points. In the end, it can change a game. You've got to keep your discipline, and that is exactly what both of these two sides will be looking to do throughout the 80 minutes. Even the yellow card, that can be costly. That can cost you 14 points. I think Dave Rennie is a Chiefs plant, says Kiwi Rob. It's not like you to have conspiracy theories, Rob. We have got there. I'm curious to know which channel is the match televised at. So it is on Sky Sport 1 here in New Zealand. And we have got there, if you look at last year, George Bower and Fletcher Null were deployed off the bench against Wales and French B team. They consistently struggled to get over the game line. Says 10-2. Yeah, I mean, Bower last week looked all right off of the bench. I know it's a very different circumstance when you've got late in a game up against the Italians. But Null's an interesting one. Lomax, it's good to see him back, because at the end of the day, he's had his fair share of injuries that he's been dealing with as well. But I think they really enjoyed his ball running that he offered last week up against Italy. Being able to get those few extra meters with the carry in hand, that is crucial. Heading into these big matches up against strong sides, you want to get up and a little bit further forward with the ball. And that's where someone like a Numia and a Tossi, those type of guys, can definitely add a lot to this All Blacks team. We're waiting for the test match all the way today. I can't wait for tonight's game. Are you pumped as well? I'm very excited for this matchup. Can't wait to have the kickoff underway. It's about 35 minutes away from the start of this contest, ladies and gents. We've still got quite a bit to go through. Nations Championship, we haven't even mentioned the table at this point in time, but the chat is going at 1,000 miles an hour. So yeah, I hope you guys are all excited as I am and looking forward to the full day of international rugby. Do you think we have seen the end of Beauden Barrett? No, because if we had seen the end of Beauden Barrett, he wouldn't have been in the squad for July. He's going to South Africa unless there's some sort of injury that affects him throughout the next little while. But I think that Rennie has made it abundantly clear that he's got a few veterans that he wants in the mix alongside those young players. Anton Lienert-Brown off of the bench in this contest, probably a good example of that. But keeping a few of those hidden gems, I guess you could say, because every once in a while, those boys with the experience can pull out an absolute game-changing matchup. Lienert-Brown off the bench last week was strong against the Italians, which is quite nice to see, seeing as many haven't looked at his form throughout the Japanese top league this year. A lot of people actually thought he was injured, and that's why he wasn't playing for the Chiefs. But no, he was on a sabbatical and has been doing nicely over there as well. This truly is anyone's game, but I'm back in the AB's bench front row to come out and make the difference. He's the one and only Dave Rennie. Oh, there you go. He's in the chat while he should be possibly coaching the team. We have got all the games are live on Virgin Media 1 in Ireland, free to air. So if you have a VPN, you can watch. There's Mountains of Asylum. Good morning. I hope Ireland can win from the Sharks, man, says Clifton. And also, we've got the All Blacks 34-13. And 3 out of 3 tests, no Beauden Barrett and not even off the bench. Correct. Also, no Simon Parker. So is it the end of Simon Parker in an international kit? Is the end of Kyle Preston, seeing as he's only just got back into the All Blacks and he's nowhere to be seen in July? It's panic stations. The All Blacks are in trouble. No, it's just rotation. Calm down. It's all right. There's going to be opportunities later on. There's still a World Cup around the corner. You don't want to lose a player like Beauden Barrett playing in July when you could have him for a South African tour where he might be able to make the change in the last minute of one of those test matches. They've shown there only 4 of tonight's All Blacks 23 are in the side that lost to Ireland and Wellington 2022. We've got there from it's Rennie. Says the one and only. I thought Caleb Clark had an injury. Nah, he's all good. Fihi Finianofo has an injury, and so does Leroy Carter. There's a lot of injuries in that wing position, but luckily for Clark, he is all right. And it looks like he's going to be making his way off the bench still in this contest. They are just showing a few of the players warming up here at Eden Park. We're getting closer to the kickoff of this contest. Watching from South Africa, says Internet there. And AB's 34, Ireland 14 is Matthew's prediction. They're just showing Damian McKenzie lining up a few off the kicking tee. Now, Ruben Love has been doing a pretty good job from that kicking opportunity of the All Blacks throughout July. Winter Pie, some heavy strapping on that left leg. Of course, there was a time where that man was out for almost a full calendar year due to that injury against the Australians. But what we will do, ladies and gents, is we will show you the way that the table sits. Now, for anyone who's unfamiliar with this competition, it is pretty much Northern Hemisphere versus Northern Hemisphere in terms of the points. Southern Hemisphere with Japan versus Southern Hemisphere. So, at the end of the 6 rounds, where you do play everyone on the opposite side of the draw, you then have number 1 versus number 1 in an overall final. Number 2 versus 2 in their second place final. 3rd versus 3rd, 4th versus 4th, and so on. So, at the moment, the way that it's shaping up, if this was the way that it ended, which of course it possibly won't be, but it would be, for instance, Ireland versus South Africa, France versus New Zealand, and so on and so forth. So, this is the 3rd round. Currently, there are 3 sides that are undefeated in this Nations Championship. The exciting part is 2 of them are playing in about 30 minutes' time. That is New Zealand and Ireland. Only one of those 2 sides will remain undefeated at the end of the match, unless we get a draw, and then I don't know whether or not you count a draw as undefeated or whether you've been slightly defeated, but either way, there is a chance that we see just 2 sides undefeated at the end of the 3rd round in this competition. These are the matches that are taking place this weekend. New Zealand versus Ireland the first, Japan versus France overlaps. It's a bit of a shame, as we would have quite liked to cover that game too, but the French are heavy favourites heading into that match up against the Japanese. Italy will be playing the Australians. They come in as a big underdog, but if you're talking about big underdogs, you look no further than that game taking place at 3:40 a.m. South Africa versus Wales. South Africa, huge favourites, the biggest of the round, looking to really get a big game going in Durban to cement that number 1 on the table spot. Fiji plays Scotland and also England-Argentina. Now, that's quite an interesting game because right when they announced the odds for that matchup, England were underdogs. Then from there, they have become favourites up against this Argentine side. They did play in a series in Argentina just last year. We saw England win 2-0. That was during a time where they were missing their British and Irish Lions. Couple close games, but a definite must-watch game for the end of this Nations Championship round. And then if we're talking about the Nations Championship, the next round, it has taken place in around 111, 112 days. So, we've got a bit of time, but there will be Ireland versus Argentina as the opener. The All Blacks, for their match, they will be taking on the Scottish at Murrayfield, which should be a very awesome game. But just from doing that, I've missed another 30 messages. So anyone who is just tuning in now, do of course let me know your score predictions for this matchup as we get closer to the start of the contest. It looks like for the All Blacks there are no late changes, which is great news. I'd assume that Ireland are the same, but we'll see it in a short moment. I'm really hoping the All Blacks don't lose today. The Irish will never let us forget if it happens, says Raymond. A morning, Hamish, says Mr. Monk. I'll look at Tava Nawai over Carter in the future, says one and only. And also, big game. And good morning, South Africans. Good morning, Kiwi lads. Says Peter, welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing extremely well. What happens if Love and McKenzie get injured? What, in this game in particular? So you're saying that's why they should have had Beauden, just in case they lose their 10 and their 15, right? I would say more than likely if that happens, you'd probably end up sticking either Barrett to 10 or maybe they would reshuffle a bit and either put Roygaard to 10 and then potentially have Ratamaron as 9. something like that. But of course, you don't really plan to have 2 injuries from 2 of your strike players, because I think a lot of sides would say that they'd struggle if that was the case. Definitely when you're going with a 6-2 split, when you're picking just a halfback and then someone in the centres or on the wing. We have good there. Morning, Hamish. Thanks for the commentary. Start and end of the day with major battles go to the All Blacks. Says Joss. That's my point. There is no backup 10 on the bench. There's also no backup lock on the bench, you could argue, though. But because they've got more locking cover in the starting lineup, you can afford to do that. Now, of course, if it backfires and they end up with a couple injuries, then you're in a bit of trouble. But you would be anyway. If you had your stock standard 2 locks and then one of them gets injured, you replace them with another lock off the bench and then they get injured. Sides are going to struggle anyway. But you've got 2 men who can play 10 in terms of this All Blacks starting lineup, just like you've got 3 men who can play lock in the starting side too. But I don't think it's the absolute end of the world, because they've got the centre cover and they've got the wing cover and they've got a bit of rotation that can happen across their men in the starting side. We have got their chip up and under. And also we have got there the All Blacks are back, baby, says Andre John. And on Ireland by 1, says Meredith Shaw there. And also we've got there, did Rasi make any changes? Not at this stage. I know that he's had late changes both other games from announcing a side so early, but at this stage it seems to still be the same lineup for now. We have got the hello again from Kuala Lumpur, says Aliyah there. Welcome back again. And we have got there, we don't have 10 on the bench, Hamish, says Kiwi Rob. They don't have a 4 on the bench either, Kiwi Rob. Again, you've got extra cover in your starting lineup, so it's fine. Unless, like I said, if you have 2 players injured in any position, what happens if both halfbacks get injured, Kiwi Rob? What are they going to do? They won't have an extra halfback off of their bench if their halfback off the bench is gotten injured as well. Then what do? Do you chuck a proper halfback? You don't plan for 2 injuries, because if you play 2 defensive-minded and always go for guys can replace injured players, you're never going to select your strongest team. You're going to go with those guys that you feel you've got to put in there rather than who you want to. Geordie Barrett better score, says Kian there. We have got there as well. Good morning, says Kagiso. Welcome in. Hope you are doing very well. The chat is going 1,000 miles an hour today. Everyone's in a very chatty mood, which is fantastic to see. About 25 minutes away from the kickoff of this contest, ladies and gents. ABs, please make us proud, says Hugo there. And we have got there, I just wanted to see the German play. I've only watched this clip. So yeah, Anton Segner going to be making his way off of the bench for New Zealand in this contest, playing from the number 19 jersey. Then from there, they have got also Peter Larkai as another replacement. Do you expect a fluid, fast-paced match, or one that is more physical and focused on gaining territory? I think we're going to see a relatively fluid match between these 2 sides, because the weather's nice at Eden Park. There's no rain, there's not a lot of wind, so it does mean that both sides can play a relatively quick tempo, and that is something that we've seen Dave Rennie try and do with his All Blacks side. I do think that the Irish, they love a counter-attack, and I don't actually think we've seen the absolute best of Ireland as of yet. Throughout the July internationals, they were able to sneak past Australia in a game that was very back and forth, and they did extremely well to be able to win that contest. Their matchup against the Japanese was far from the Ireland that a lot of people wanted to see, but whether or not that was just saving all the energy for this match here, we will see Ireland come out absolutely firing, I would think. And the thing is as well, you got to remember, the All Blacks have conceded within the first 4 minutes of both of their games in this nation's championship, whether it's a defensive misread or a missed tackle. The game up against the Italians, Tommaso Monticello scored within 3 minutes. The game up against the French, scored within 2. So the All Blacks, they will be keeping a close eye out for the early attack from the Irish. But the difference is, if we see them attack early and score, they have to keep the pressure on. They can't then make a little mistake that allows New Zealand to get back into the game. And we have good there as the talk of unbeaten at Auckland. Been in the news at all this week a little bit. In terms of that 52-match winning streak at Eden Park, it is always going to be talked about. It is absolutely incredible that it has got this far. Wasn't Beauden Barrett needed for this match? I don't think so. Now, of course, hindsight will be a wonderful thing, and if they lose in the final moments, the All Blacks here, people will go, why didn't they pick Beauden? But at the same time, I think, I had Beauden in the rotation squad. Same with Kyle Preston. I think that Preston... Is this too controversial of a statement? Maybe. I was about to say, I think that Kyle Preston coming in for Ratama is a more important switch that they should have made than Beauden Barrett in for this match. And it's definitely debatable, because, Beauden, of course, with that experience factor, whereas Preston with that X factor off of the bench, just feels weird that we didn't see him throughout any of these matches, as it seems like Roygaard and Ratama are both confirmed, but we have no idea if Dave Rennie has got his third man in terms of the halfbacks, whether or not he's going to swap out Preston for someone else heading towards the greatest rivalry tour. I wish Caleb Tangitau was playing. It'd be an interesting one, wouldn't he? Because, of course, we've got to remember the amount of injuries on that left wing side. He is in that category as well. We have got there, there's Jeff, and Modding from South Africa. I hope that Ireland bring a big game. AB's battled against the B side of France. I predict an Ireland win by 5 points. Says Roy, I really think the All Blacks will have too much firepower tonight. Segner will fire tonight, as well as Vai bringing on, boys. And also, if the All Blacks lose to Irish B, time to worry about it. Says Dunk, well, the AB should get this one over the line. And watch Irishman O'Brien. Yeah, if your name's O'Brien, whether that's Jimmy or Tommy, you can score a lot of tries in terms of Leinster as well as at international level. It's Match, says the AI. And please press like and subscribe as you log into each new game through the day. Support Amish, says Josh Pike. Yeah, anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We have got plenty of rugby taking place today. This is our first of 5 matches. It's going to be about 11 and a half hours of talking, so hopefully you guys don't get too sick of me by the time we get there. But both sides close to their last-minute preparations. The All Blacks backs are all going around giving each other high fives. Good morale in the camp at the moment. That's the same shirt again. Have you thought of op shopping? Says Jared. Well, I thought if the shirt's not broken, don't fix it. So, yeah, I just wash it each week and then give it an iron and then chuck it back on. Ready for the next weekend. Be honest, are you surprised that we are naming our South African side before the MP starts? Not really. I can understand why they're doing it a bit, because as soon as you get a couple rounds of NPC, players start to put their name in the hat again. At least if they're doing it beforehand, they're still basing it off what we saw in Super Rugby, which can be a good and a bad thing, depending on how you look at it. Hamish is a very nice person. Let's support Hamish, says Mohadin. And also, this is another really good test for the All Blacks today, like against France. Yeah, see, this could be argued as their toughest test to date. Or like, not to date as in like of all time, but this year, I would call this one their toughest test because, you know, there was a lot of stick headed towards that French side because of the developmental team that we saw, and they almost beat the All Blacks. This Irish side you would call far from developmental. This is an Irish team that have done some pretty decent things throughout their tenure as of late. They've been competitive in the Six Nations competitions. They did win it a couple years ago. We saw them beat New Zealand twice in 2022. A lot of the players were playing back in that tour. As 2022, it sounds like ages ago, but it wasn't that long ago at all. About 4 years since those July internationals. Good morning all the way from Port Elizabeth. All Blacks, I just have to win, that's all. And if it's just by 1 point, a win is a win. Says Apollos there. 50 points to the mighty All Blacks. Good afternoon, Amish. Says Sock, welcome in. Anyone who hasn't already, be sure to get in those score predictions as well for this game, ladies and gents. And there was the first game as team. Come on, mate. Says Sven. Wait, there was the first game as a team. Which one? The one up against the Irish from 2022. And we have got there, oh no, I assume you're talking about the French one. But yeah, like I said, people were ruling that as the toughest test. They've had 2 matches together now, and now this is going to be a game where some would say that they've found some sort of fluidity across certain positions. And now they'll be looking for them to go head-to-head strong up against the Irish side. We have got their All Blacks, or New Zealand All Blacks, Bull, ready to run over strong Island defence. Says John Quintabaya will be getting the first try. And afternoon, Hamish from the Philippines. A tough one coming up. Bring it on. Yeah, it's going to be a good one. Anyone who hasn't already, do let me know, of course, who you think will be able to win this contest. It is the first of 5 games that we are going to be covering on the channel. I'm not convinced that Tupavai at 6 and Tuipulotu at 5. The Irish will be licking their lips seeing these guys. They thrive in a slow, tight, physical game, says Tanner 2. And Ireland is going to test New Zealand seriously, especially the way New Zealand starts at every match, conceding an early try, says Monet Lagrange. And whereas Satiti injured, he is not injured. They just decided to leave him out this week. Now, he did have a lot of handling errors last week, but he also had a lot of good moments from Wallace Satiti. He had the most carries and the most tackles out of any player out there on the field, but they felt like maybe the mistakes outweighed the good things that Satiti did. They brought Peter Larkai back in. Some thought he may have gotten the starting 6 jersey, but it was rumoured that Rennie was looking at Tupavai as an option at 6 for the French test. And now Azadi lost every coin toss. Says Jeff there, and Vai will run over Jack Conan for an opening try under the sticks. Says Sash. and Ireland are overrated. They get home games, don't tour well. Says Sven, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. I think Ireland have had some very good showings in international tours. That one up against South Africa only not last year, the year prior, was a perfect example of that. Two hotly contested fixtures up against the box, and in the end, the Ireland side leaving that series 1-1. We've seen them do well on their New Zealand tour in 2022. They won that series 2-1 up against the Kiwis. I think that Ireland being a bad travelling team is definitely a stigma of the past because, you know, they went to Australia and they managed to get past a Wallabies side who not many people were expecting to, unfortunately, fall over like they have in their last two games, the Australians, but the Irish getting the win there. I think that Ireland at home at the Aviva, don't get me wrong, very strong team, but I also do think that they've got some very decent travelling achievements in recent times as well. We have got there, won't be mad, at 50 points to 39. I think the defence coaches will be, but I would love to see a high-scoring game between these two sides, that is for sure. And we have got there, Karefi doesn't have the street smarts to play the Irish yet, says Sash. And also someone said Prendergast will have a field day against Love. Desperate to believe, says Sock. I think that on attack, it's often underestimated what Prendergast does purely because of the amount of mistakes that he makes defensively. But I think you chuck him in this type of matchup, who knows, maybe he does go all right in this type of contest, Prendergast. But McCluskey's going to have a lot of work to do on his inside because McCluskey kind of has to try and cover two positions in one. They try and stick Prendergast out on the wing. That doesn't normally work because someone just charges at him. But yeah, it will be very interesting to witness what kind of tactical game comes into it. You're too kind, Hamish. Says Sock, and we have got the Caleb Clark and Josh Morby needs to be the 12 and 13 combination. Well, Justin Marshall was one who was kind of asking for Morby to maybe move to centre at some stage in the future. He feels like he could be the answer as the outside centre for New Zealand. I love going to silence all the critics today. Says Barry. And we have got their, if Ireland win, they go number two in the world. Says Kiwi Rob. So yeah, that'll be a little bit of an incentive for the Irish, but I don't think that will be the only thing that they're thinking about in this contest. They'll be thinking about that record at Eden Park that the All Blacks have held for longer than many of these players have even been born. So, you know, there's an opportunity to make history as this Irish team here, but to be able to do it, they have to get past the All Blacks at one of the toughest locations to beat a side. And don't tour well 2-1. Does that bring back memories? Says Raymond. Yeah, like I said, they did 2-1 up against New Zealand in 2022. We saw them go 1-1 up against South Africa in 2024. We've seen them win Six Nations games away from home throughout the recent years. And we have the Ireland win today. Is it the biggest win in their entire history? Ooh, that's actually a very good question. And I think that one would definitely be debated. I would say, I don't know, that win in Chicago was pretty huge when it comes to these two sides, but beating the All Blacks at Eden Park would certainly be absolutely massive. The only thing that they might say it isn't as big is only because of the fact that Ireland aren't huge underdogs for this game, but then that's the betting odds. I feel like in reality, going into a test match at a location where the opposition have won 52 games in a row, you know, I would say yes for the Irish. This would be their biggest win in history if they take down the All Blacks at Eden Park, even though it is still very early in Dave Rennie's tenure. Don't count out the luck of the Irish. Says Iron Lion there. And I think the Irish are actually heavier than our pack. Lord under 120 kg, Savi and Jacobson well under 120, etc. Says Tanner too. Yeah, so the All Blacks once again going for a little bit more of that dynamic or a little bit more... would you call them flexible, loose forward trio? Jacobson's a bit of a tank when he sits himself down, but yeah, they're going for a little bit more mobility in this contest. It would seem the Kiwis, although still very mobile Irish pack. Joe McCarthy at the 4 jersey, I think, is going to be definitely one to keep an eye out for. And we have got the Ireland. We'll go straight to number one in the world. If they win, Sven, I think they have to win by 16 though, don't they, to be able to get that number one spot? Or is it just in general they just jump straight up to number one? If the All Blacks win, Hamish will take his shirt off for Ruth, says Irish Mick. And maybe the All Blacks at Eden Park will definitely be the most famous victory for Ireland, says Vitamin Green. And also we have got there, I think if you ask the Irish, I'll say the times they beat England at Twickenham are their bigger wins, says Big Rig. And whereas the Mighty Williams injured at the moment, unfortunately, he will not be taking part in this contest. He also doesn't look like he's going to be taking part in the South African tour. But hopefully, maybe November, he'll get into there. We have there Geordie Barrett, Quinton Byer, Luke Jacobson, and Damian McKenzie will be getting their first try. Now, I hacked to Anton Leonard-Brown, but wouldn't you have D-Mac or Bowden Barrett on the bench? I think because of Damian McKenzie starting at 15, it makes it a lot more challenging to squeeze in another 10. You know, similar to what we saw the last 2 weeks, where they haven't really had a specialist 10 either off of their bench. Now that I think about it, last week they had Anton Leonard-Brown and also Josh Morby. So it's no different to what we've actually seen the last 2 weeks from New Zealand, other than the fact that in this scenario, because it's the Eden Park Test match, I think a lot more people are nervous about not having the backup 10 or the backup of the backup, because they do have 2 10s in their starting lineup. And we have there neither side can go to number 1. Springboks points difference too big. Hopeful thinking, says Roy Hart, and too much pace and energy on the bench for Ireland to handle, says Barry. And also we have got there, is Crowley injured? I think he is better at 10 than Sam. It seems like, though, Andy Farrell has been backing Prendergast a lot throughout 2026. The first try for Morby, says the real Ando. And the All Blacks, says Kian, and there as well. But ladies and gentlemen, we are getting close to the start of this contest. We are less than 15 minutes away from this match at Eden Park. The fortress for the All Blacks under Dave Rennie for his 3rd test match in charge, going head-to-head up against an Irish side who are 2 wins from 2. Scrappy at times, but still a formidable opponent at this location, and they cannot underestimate what this Irish side can do. We have got there, any good team can win on any day. Exactly right. I think that this nation's championship, you know, you've got the 12 sides, top of the table or top of the world rankings around the world going head-to-head each and every week. Every once in a while, there will be an upset. Now, whether or not it's this one could be a different story, but the Irish will be up for this challenge. And I actually think heading into this matchup, we have not seen the best Ireland as of yet in July. Their game up against Australia, they dug deep at times, but they still would have said that they made a few too many errors. That was maybe down to the fact that it was their first game of the year, or first game in quite a wee while since the Six Nations. Then you look at that game against the Japanese. Ireland didn't quite find their full stride, but again, if you watch that game and you watch them in this matchup, I feel like you're going to see 2 very different sides. So it's hard to judge what we're actually going to see here from Ireland. And Lester Whainaranuku not on the radar. For Rennie injured at the moment, which is why he was left out of the original squad that was announced. He broke his leg in one of the later games of Super Rugby Pacific. We have got there, what do you think about the Italian coach getting a 2-match ban? Yeah, you're not allowed to talk about the referees. And World Rugby have decided to try and make that very, very obvious, but at the same time, there is, as long as it's done in a respectful manner, I feel like there is a time and a place to question certain decisions. We have got there, Geordie Barrett will smash them, says Kian. And we have got there, building the tension nicely, Amish, says Simon. I can't believe how quickly, we've been going for 43 minutes. I don't know where that went. I thought it was like 15. And we have got there, see you at the Alpha on Channel 3. But yeah, it is going to be kicking off in only around 12 minutes time. We're about to have the national anthems of these 2 sides. Just looking at recent form for these 2 teams based off their nation's championship. I mentioned about that close game for the Irish up against Australia, winning it away from home, 33 points to 31. The game up against the Japanese, 36-20 on paper, looks pretty handy for that Irish side, but it was a lot closer throughout a majority of that matchup. And there are little things that, of course, it was mentioned from Barrel that they want to improve on heading into this contest, but still getting the win over the Japanese was a very good job done by the Irish side. For New Zealand, they started off with their game against the French. Again, a developmental French side that came onto New Zealand soil and gave the ABs a little bit of a scare. 2-point victory for New Zealand in that contest, and then a 30-point win over the Italians. Again, you look at that scoreline, you'd say that that game seemed one-sided. At halftime, only about 4 points separating the teams, but New Zealand, with the impact of Josh Morby off of the bench, completely turned the game around with Jordan's hat-trick, with Cam Roigard starting to find his rhythm late. They were able to turn it into a 30-point win against the Italians just last week. We have there the All Blacks and Ireland about to be done like a screwdriver, says each there. And we have got there as well, are you angry for me? Not that I know of, Mohadeen. We have got there, where can we see 3? So someone said it's on 3 here in New Zealand. Now, I hope that is the case, as this game definitely should be free to wear in New Zealand. We have there the All Blacks. Geordie Barrett at 12 is fire, or thumbs up from Iron Lion. But looking through at the starting sides for these two sides, ladies and gentlemen, it is Ethan de Groot, Cody Taylor, and Tyrell Lomax as the All Blacks front row. That is the same as what we did see in the last matchup against the Italians. First game of the year, we saw Fletcher Null coming off starting in that number 3 jersey, but Lomax now back. He had some very strong carries in the game just last week and has been rewarded with a starting spot in this game as well. Josh Lord alongside Patrick Tuipulotu. Those were the big changes in terms of the All Blacks starting side. Sam Derry was doing very well throughout the match against France as well as Italy, but he has been dropped from this lineup, and Josh Lord moves back to 4 like he was in the first initial match. In fact, he might have actually been 5, and then Patrick Tuipulotu, after no minutes throughout this year, due to the injuries that he's had, he didn't feature in Test Match 1 or 2. He was going to be making his way off of the bench, but then the late exclusion, which gave Jamie Hanna the opportunity to show what he could do in the loose forward trio. Reshuffle here. Tupavai as the number 4. Luke Jacobson slots in, as number 6. Jacobson at 7, and Artie Savia, the captain, again, will be playing from the number 8 jersey. Cam Roygaard and Ruben Love in that 9-10 combination. Attacking minded. They seem to be very much so on the same page. We've seen it for the Hurricanes throughout Super Rugby Pacific, and we're seeing it now for the All Blacks too. Ruben Love. I talked about the Hurricanes briefly there, but he's seen a lot of yellow throughout this year, one of which got taken away, though, the one last week against the Italians, but the early yellow against the French has to be very careful. Keep that discipline in play. It's the last thing that you want to do is give this Irish side a man advantage. Here, in terms of the centres, it is Geordie Barrett and Quinn Tupaia, so Barrett will continue to play from that inside centre role. Tupaia coming in for Proctor from that 13 jersey. Josh Morby gets a much-deserved start after the way that he played last week, and a massive performance against the Italians. Out on the right wing, Will Jordan, and Damien McKenzie, he is once again as that number 15. Here for the Irish, Tom O'Toole, Dan Sheehan and Tyke Furlong. Slotted as the front row, a lot of experience for Furlong alongside the skipper Sheehan. Be looking to be strong up front in the scrum. Joe McCarthy at 4, he is dynamic, he is dangerous, and he will definitely be one to keep an eye out for in this Irish pack. He partners with James Ryan. He's another one to keep an eye on, but mainly because sometimes he does some dumb stuff that could cost his side a yellow card in this game. Ty Byrne plays from 6 with Josh Van der Flair at 7 and Jack Conan at number 8. Couple dangerous Leinstermen there. And pure power as well as that turnover ability. Ireland will look to get to those breakdowns quickly, put New Zealand under pressure here at Eden Park, but it will be easier said than done. Jamison Gibson Park alongside Sam Prendergast. A lot of eyes on that 9 and 10 combination here for Ireland. Out on the left wing, Jimmy O'Brien. In the midfield, McCluskey. After an immense Six Nations campaign, he partners with Gary Ringrose as the outside centre. Robert Balakouni was going to be in the starting lineup earlier on in the July International, suffered an injury, but he's back now, raring to go head-to-head with Morby in this contest. And then Hugo Keenan is the number 15. He is going head-to-head with Damien McKenzie here. Andrew Porter injured, sadly, yes, he is out. And also, like I mentioned earlier on, Cian Healy retired compared to what we normally get to see when the Irish go head-to-head with New Zealand. Although the Kiwis, you could argue with no Tamaiti Williams, a little bit different than what we would see for them as well. Xavier Numia only recently getting his debut in the first match up against the French. And also we have got there, how many minutes? Says Tanner 2. We've got like 7 minutes. They've got the national anthems. Then there will be the haka. And then from there, we are into the kickoff of this contest. Anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. This is the first of 5 games that we are going to be covering on the channel today. The next one, it is the Australians going head-to-head up against Italy. But also during this match, near the end of it, we are going to get to see the matchup between Japan and France overlapping a little bit. And let's go New Zealand, says Johnny Blaze there. We have got their Hold My Heart, says Willow. And we have got their stadium is tiny. Is this New Zealand's biggest stadium? Well, it's certainly the biggest when it comes to occasion. They have not lost there in 52 games. No stadium around the world has that type of prestigious record at the moment. But the Irish, they're coming to Eden Park. Unlike in 2022 where they were defeated, they're looking to turn it around, get the victory, as they did win the next 2 games in that series. It was 2-1 in the end. The one loss was at Eden Park. Currently, they are seeing the Irish rugby anthem, I'll be honest, their anthem was stuck in my head throughout like half the week. And I don't know whether or not that's some sort of blasphemy coming from a Kiwi, but it's a bloody catchy tune, isn't it? The rugby anthem for Ireland. Shoulder to shoulder. It's what they will definitely want to be doing in those breakdowns to keep the ball on their side. We have got their high Kiwi, says Ryan there. And also, whereas Bowden Barrett, he is on the sideline for this contest, probably running the drinks, Bowden. It was surprising with this exclusion from this contest, but they have decided that they've got enough cover, just like they had in the French game, just like they had in the Italian game. They've decided that 2 10s in the starting lineup is more than enough to have replacements if needed. Now we have Friends Island, and we have got there the flowers around the nets of the choir look like are those from Hawaii. Says Hang a Rat. They are now singing the New Zealand national anthem. Anyone who hasn't already, be sure to let me know your predictions for this matchup, ladies and gentlemen. Will it be the Irish at Eden Park, or is it going to be a win here for New Zealand yet again? I don't see the fading Irish team winning today, and greetings from Irania, says Harold. Welcome in, mate. You are doing extremely well. Tyrell Lomax in the starting lineup again. He partners with Josh Lord in terms of shoulder-to-shoulder of the national anthems. Lord has had an exceptional Super Rugby Pacific campaign. There was a time where many felt like he wasn't quite All Black standard, but he has proven it time and time again throughout the last 12 months. I had a Harlan song, been stuck in my head for the last month. Go to the AB, says Suckabola. And how you bro, New Zealand will win, says Ryan. I'm doing very well. I'm excited for this game, that is for sure. Let's get it on, says Jeff J. We are only moments away from the start of this contest. And All Blacks 34, Ireland 14. All Blacks by at least 10 points, says Harold. And the bright orange boots for the All Blacks here as well. Patrick Tuipulotu into the starting lineup after not even featuring off the bench in the last 2 test match. Bit of an injury concern for him up against the French, which is what brought in Jamie Hanna. I believe that man will be going to South Africa with the squad. What time's the game? Game is starting in 4 minutes' time. Morning Amish says, please and welcome in. Hope you are doing extremely well, Morning Amish and others. Here we go, another Rugby Saturday. How about a draw? A draw would be a pretty intense way to start off today, that is for sure. But I could see it happening. These two sides have been close in a few of their previous meetings. Although the last game at Eden Park, the All Blacks winning by 23. I'm saying it right now, it's going to be closer than that. I'm probably going to be wrong because I'm terrible at predictions, as you guys know. A knee injury in the first minute. Who to, Sven? Normally you see people predicting tries. You don't often see people predicting injuries. It's a bit more of a cynical way to look at a game of rugby, I guess. We have got there, let's go the first, or New Zealand. All Blacks says, it was Maga there. And also All Blacks by 500. Didn't you, like, about 40 minutes ago, Mick, you told us the Irish are going to win by 55. And now you're saying the All Blacks are going to win it by a bigger margin. We have got there, ladies and gentlemen. Start your engines. Says Hanger Rat. Cody Taylor is going to be leading the haka for this All Black side at Eden Park. Sold out for this one. A terrible performance on the national anthems, in my opinion, says Anxiety. Well, let's hope, in comparison to the anthems, you enjoy the action out there on the field a whole lot better, as it is just about to get away in the Irish as the All Blacks set for their haka. Ireland take a few steps further towards that halfway line. Dave Rennie has already selected the squad for the South African tour, says Matthew. Yeah, because he's announcing it soon, isn't he, Dave Rennie? In terms of who is going to be taken to the field, or taken to the plane, I guess you could say, for that South African greatest rivalry tour. The All Blacks, though, they look, at the moment, pretty fired up for this contest. Adi Savia standing at the front of the haka. Leonard Brown, someone who many thought maybe was going to miss out on that All Black squad of Dave Rennie, but he has had a sensational Japanese league performance all throughout the year. He actually had similar stats to Adi Savia in a few of them. He had a massive amount of try assists. We have got there, what's your thoughts on Italy beating Australia? It could happen. The thing is, Australia, their second half up against the French, told us absolutely nothing about how they're going to play this year, other than the fact that they're very good for one half and they're very rough in the next. The anthem is supposed to be terrible to intimidate the opposition, says Albert there, and I can't wait to see the squad selection, says Matthew there too. The haka has almost been completed. Some very stern faces from the Irish as well. And we have their cute boots, says Sven. Yeah, kind of what happens when you get sponsors. You get paid, you get money, you get boots, you get all sorts of free stuff for these sides. But the All Blacks, I'll be looking to make them look like they are blurry with how quickly they are flying down the wings with someone like a Will Jordan. In this contest, he has already become the most decorated try scorer for All Blacks in international rugby history. He's got 50 tries. He's got the half century, raised his bat, Will Jordan. And now he wants 51, 52, maybe even 53 in this contest against the Irish at Eden Park. Oh, the All Blacks says blindside. Can't wait to hear the South African excuses when it's All Blacks win the series. Will be worth its weight in gold, says Jason. And also we have got there no budget burgers today, only steak. Shady refs tonight, says Ray Murphy. I feel like we've never had a game in the recent in the Nations Championship where before a game people haven't said the ref's going to cost a side the game. And is that coming down to, I guess, everyone being too critical of referees, or is it coming down to the fact that the referees do actually need to be a little bit stronger? I think the law book just needs to be pretty much slashed in half. Get rid of all the stupid little things that can go wrong. Go back to the older school days where it was almost simplistic to be able to start watching rugby, because trying to explain a breakdown to people who have never watched rugby before is just impossible nowadays because of all the little intricate laws that there are around the game. But they are just showing the Irish keys to victory. Keep the ball in their own half. Keep the All Blacks in their own half. I was about to say that's a weird tactic. Make rugby simpler, says Hunter there. I love the rugby atmosphere in New Zealand. It looks electric. We have that Berry usually helps the All Blacks win. Does he? I feel like there's been quite a few All Black supporters who dislike Nick Berry quite a lot, I will say. Now, ready to kick this one off. The Irish, they will be going from right to left. Too many new rules for rugby now, says Matthew. Don't worry, it will happen, says Flesh in there. But the man in charge of the TMO, Ben Whitehouse of Wales. And yeah, Berry is bad for us, says Greet. Okay, well, if both of these sides don't like the referee, we might get an even one here between the teams. But there are a lot, like I mentioned, determined faces out there on the park. Robert Balakoon, a man who did miss the first test match for Ireland, was initially named. But now the countdown is on. Savia, he is talking to himself here. He's ready to go for this Eden Park test match, kicked off by Ireland as they go from right to left. But a sold-out crowd at Eden Park, almost charged down, but a big boot downfield from Geordie Barrett. It's a huge boot, in fact, getting it down into the Irish half. And a fair game, lad, let's go. Says aim on there. And I miss Brian Lawrence. He didn't know any laws and just did what he wanted, says Hunter. But it is going to be the line out now for Dan Sheehan and his Irish side, just inside of their own half, about 43 metres from their own line here, Ireland. They've got Tadhg in that number 6 jersey playing as a blindside for this game. They've gotten the short set play to the front of the line out into the hands of Gibson Park, passes it back to Sheehan, who cuts back infield and runs it up to the halfway line. Gibson Park away to the right-hand side again. Prendergast on to McCluskey, tackled round that halfway mark. You know that the Ireland side, they have some brilliant ruck speed. We see it time and time again with the way that Gibson Park gets those rucks and just creates space. Now backline movement, but it's knocked on. Pass slightly behind Gary Ringrose, and first scrum of the day, it's going to be for New Zealand round the halfway line. And we have got there, hey, what's up? Says Metaphor, welcome in. Hope you are doing extremely well. And we have got there, I love the Irish, but the rugby supporters carry on like they've ever won anything worth a damn. Says Greet the Sacred Cow. Well, it depends on what your stance is on the Six Nations. I think Six Nations is a pretty big achievement to be able to win. Definitely up against some of the sides that take part in that comp. But Ireland, if they were able to add the Nations Championship, the first ever inaugural Nations Championship winner, that would be a pretty massive achievement to put on the board for Ireland. But scrum pack, weights here, 883 for Ireland. New Zealand with the much heavier pack, 916 kgs. So they've got an extra about 40 kgs of oomph that they're going to be looking to use here. Now ready to feed this ball. And no, it didn't quite happen. It's going to be a free kick to New Zealand, taken quickly by Roygaard, way to the left-hand side. Ruben Love moves it on to Tapia, popping it in behind to the try scorer, Jordan. Looks for the grubber. A bit of a different tactic from Jordan there, but it's charged down by Balakoon. Bounces back to Geordie Barrett. Open space on the right-hand side of the field. Goes into the in-goal area, and it's still rolling, and it goes dead from the Barrett kick. Ireland back to the halfway line with their scrum now. We have got the, yes, I've entered the chat. Don't all get too excited, says Neo. And also, long live the Beaver, says Soccer. I assume that's for the Six Nations low level. Didn't he say low level, though, for the URC? He added an extra low just to add insult to injury. But it is going to be on the halfway line, roughly. After the kick attempted by Jordan didn't work out, it bounced back to Barrett, who decided to still go for that same kicking option. And we have got there, I'm going to love the Springbok series stream here. All the excuses are loading, says Jason. Eden Park Fortress says, Wayne, 52 games in a row. Hi, Hamish, another marathon commentary all-nighter. Hope you're not sneezing today. No sneezes as of yet. So that's great news. Now scrum, 3 minutes into this contest, still 0-0. And the reason that sounds like I'm, I guess, being a bit more specific about the timing is because at this point in time, up against the Italians and the French, New Zealand had already conceded tries. How long before kickoff? Kickoff has happened. We are 3 minutes into the contest and a scrum feed for the Irish round the halfway line. But we've also had a Nations Championship where people score very early on pretty much every single game. There haven't been many matches that we've had more than 10 minutes without a try being scored. Gibson Park going away to the left-hand side. McCluskey pops it up to Sam Prendergast. Fires it on the outside. Finds the hands of Jimmy O'Brien. Tackled by McKenzie. The Irish now moving 40 metres out from New Zealand's line. Again, shifting it away to the right. A little bit of a counter-ruck from New Zealand, although don't quite end up with the possession. Ball on the inside to Jack Conan. One of the keys from that number 8 jersey. In that Irish fullback, Tyke Furlong pops it across. Prendergast with a short ball. Straight into the hands of Ringrose, and he's been held up by Tupaia and Jacobson with some physicality. Ball doesn't come out. New Zealand get themselves the scrum, but there was a set-up pass and a half from Prendergast there. He gave it off to Ringrose and said, good luck, you're about to get mauled. And no other rugby ground. Oh, bit of push and shove already. Ethan Agru and Joe McCarthy going with a little bit of push and shove. I don't know what started that. It seemed like there was maybe the rolling maul situation. But yeah, Prendergast just popping it up to Ringrose, who had no option of being able to pass as he was tackled round the chest by Jacobson, held round the back by Tupaia. They just turned it into an Irish sandwich. And yeah, it was McCarthy and de Groot who decided that they wanted to have a bit of a push and a shove afterwards. We have got there, would you say that was the wrong decision from Prendergast? I think it was, because Ringrose has actually ended up injured a little bit from it as well. He's back up to his feet, but he certainly took a big knock. I do also see that Tyrell Lomax down for New Zealand currently. Bit of early injury concern for both of these teams. And in fact, it's more than just early injury concern. Lomax off the field 4 minutes into this game. Fletcher Null makes his way on, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to see it here, unfortunately for him. Okay, I think he twisted his leg there, Lomax. It looks like it's the quad muscle. He's kind of got his short rolled up on that side too, but this could be Lomax out. Depending... Oh, actually, might be a cut. I see there's a cut on the inside of the hamstring. So it might be blood bin rather than anything more serious. Hopefully, for the All Blacks' sake. That's bad news for the All Blacks. Scrum says Young go there. Now scrum feed here for New Zealand. Cam Roigard ready to put the ball in. Fletcher Null, even with him on, there is still a big weight discrepancy between these two sides. Moving away to the left-hand side. Ruben Love moves it on to Quintal Pye. Now short ball to McKenzie. Cuts back in. Gets almost through. Prendergast, who hangs on to his ankles and drags him down. Roigard pops it up to Josh Lord. Had a lot of impressive runs for the Chiefs throughout Super Rugby Pacific. Now Love back across there. Tui Pilotu shovels it on to Geordie. Barrett to Pyre on the outside to Jordan. Rush defence from Ringrose gets him down. 5 minutes through this contest already. Fletcher, no first carry for him since making his way onto the field. But Tyrell Lomax, but the turnover and the breakdown was almost on for Ireland. But it comes back out on the New Zealand side. 2-man tackle on Will Jordan. And Sheehan and Ringrose taking him down. Tui Pilotu cuts back on the inside. Van der Flair is there and ready to make that one bit of a counter ruck from the Irish. Good hands from Ruben Love. Popped up by Lord. Geordie Barrett on the outside. McKenzie cutting up the middle. Looking for the support, but couldn't quite link up with Josh Morby. Now back to the left. It's a 3-on-1 out wide. Josh Lord starts galloping towards the try line about 15 metres out. Artie Savia, that was almost a mistake from the skipper. The ball's been dropped by New Zealand. And Nick Berry said there was an advantage. Then he took it away from New Zealand pretty much straight away. And will be kicked in touch by Ireland. We have got the Zane Dating site. Says Mega there. And offside WTF says Mega. And Aki Outcuz says Tomo. And how is that Irish defence says Albert. We're going to see the replay there though. That Ty Byrne did knock it down. But initially... it seemed like Savi actually joined the ruck from the side of the breakdown. He didn't mean to. He just kind of fell over it. Cody Taylor now ready to throw this ball in. 35 metres out from the line for New Zealand. Cam Roigard, rough pass there, but nicely taken by Ruben Love on the bounce. Gets back up to his feet, has another crack before Joe McCarthy tackles him. Now away to Patrick Tui Pilotu. First minutes for that man since Super Rugby Pacific. And even then, he was having a few injury troubles near the back end of the season. The captain, Savia, tackled by both centres. Away to the left. Now moving it on again. Ruben Love, the pressure rush defence from Gibson Park, but beautifully done by McKenzie to loop around the outside. Morby cuts back in, dodges Vay, dodges a couple more, almost sneaks through. Tied Furlong and McCarthy. Still 30 metres from the line for New Zealand. Love across to the right. Will Jordan, 3 men on the outside, delays the pass. McKenzie thought about the quick hands, cuts back in instead as O'Brien was right in his face in the Irish. Managed to get the turnover and the breakdown through Gary Ringrose. This game's going to be played at the quick tempo. That answers the question when someone said earlier on, are we going to see more of a slower paced, methodical game, or whether it's going to be all out pace between these two sides the first 7 minutes? I think we've seen it's going to be pretty quick tempo. James Lowe not on the green team, no. He's heading to Japan. James Lowe. And I can tell it's exciting when Hamish becomes an auctioneer, says Big Rig. Yes, quick at the moment between both of these sides, but it was nicely done by Ireland to be able to get that steal in the breakdown. And now line out opportunity from inside of the All Blacks half. About 40 metres out, Sam Prendergast fires it away to the right-hand side, finds McCluskey. Now, Gibson Park thought about going left. Instead, they'll shift it right. Ireland, good spot tackle made by Morby. Now about 35 metres out. Gibson Park back across there. Ringrose plays first receiver, pops it up to McCarthy. Still 0-0 between these two sides after the first 8 minutes of the contest. James Ryan with his first carry of the day, an advantage now in favour of the Irish. No, in fact, that was Nick Berry just saying that the ball went backwards. So it is play on. Sam Prendergast decides to go for the up and under here. Waiting for it to come down. Nicely taken by Morby in the end, although he's fallen the wrong way. The Irish almost able to counter ruck, but it pops back onto the side of New Zealand once more. Up to Luke Jacobson. Looks like they're just getting ready to set this one. McCarthy stuck in the breakdown, can't really move at all. And it looks like Ireland B0. Well, both sides B0 at the moment after the 9 minutes. Cam Roygard going with the box kick. Down towards the halfway line, trying to slap it back with Geordie Barrett, and has done so effectively into the hands of Cody Taylor now. Roygard cross to Ethan de Groot, moving it on. Ruben Love, step from McKenzie. Gets round McCluskey. That's a weird one. That should be accidental offside, I would have called it. McKenzie actually passed it into the back of the head of Tupavai, and referee now awards it. The man was in front. It's accidental offside. Okay, they've said accidental. Now, I know that in Super Rugby, accidental offside resulted in a scrum or a quick tap option. In this, it's going to be a scrum for the Irish, as international law is slightly different. It was actually the back of the head of Josh Lord that got in the way. Keep on tackling the Irish, says Satyawan. And we have got there week 3 without a good stream, says Jay Moss there. As in like from me, or like as in like from actually watching options. And we have got there pollock as a breed of fish. Now scrum feed here for Ireland. About 35 metres out from New Zealand's line. And enjoy tuning in. Names, cheers, says Tom. Anyone who is new, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I've got plenty more coming up today. But the coach said use your head. And now Gibson Park. 10 minutes has passed and Fletcher Nall is still out there on the field. It looked like a nasty gash on the leg of Tyrell Lomax. Wait, gash means something else up north, doesn't it? Nasty cut on the leg. And front row's collapsing. So we will get another reset. There's a backup option. Great ball, says Jay Moss. And which AB's getting red carded first? I think if anyone gets a red card in this game, for some reason, I feel like it could be either Jacobson or Tupavai. Someone in the loose for three. Although, of course, we want to go the full 80 minutes without anyone getting sent off the field for either of these sides. Now scrum feed here for Ireland. So in a good position on the field, and they do have a dangerous set piece if they get it right. And no way throwing over Lord. Yeah, he optimistically tried David McKenzie, but there wasn't quite that height that he required. Hello, says William. Welcome in. Good day, Hamish, says Jonathan there too. Right, Gibson Park. Putting the scrum down. And going to the left-hand side here for Ireland. They had multiple running options. Looks like Hugo Keenan slightly buckled his knee there as he was looking to run that one forward. They're looking for the steal and the breakdown. Tupavai just couldn't quite get onto the ball. Was always on the man. Instead, McCarthy moves up to the 22-metre line and bulldozing forward just that little bit further for the Irish. Gibson Park off to the left-hand side. Ringrose, quick hands to Jack Conan, close to the touchline at the moment for the men in green. Gibson Park across now, back to the right. Ireland getting nicely set, though. The position on the field. New Zealand have to make sure they're not missing their tackles. Now running short side. Ringrose gets through with a couple more post-contact meters, but it's a big knock-on from James Ryan. He is livid at the referee, and the penalty is going to be awarded to New Zealand. Played it in front. Who's James Ryan angry at? Was he angry at himself? Was he angry at the referee? I don't know what was going on, but he was yelling. Oh, we have got there. I don't want a red card. I want a clean, exciting game. Says Rob Viking. Yeah, ideally, both sides with 15 the whole match would be absolutely great. I'm going to see the replay now, though. Oh, okay, yeah. So James Ryan was yelling at Gibson Park because he felt like the pass was too far behind him. So hopefully Gibson Park yells at James Ryan later on in the game if he gets a yellow card and says it would be better if we have 15 on the field rather than Ryan on the sin bin. Looks like a change being made early. It's going to be Frawley now making his way out onto the park. That's for Jimmy O'Brien. Okay, I wouldn't have picked that. I don't know what happened to O'Brien, but a change made for the Irish here too. Now away to the left-hand side. Crash ball from Quintupai, tackled by Prendergast. Both sides having to make the early change. Numbers here to the left-hand side for New Zealand, passing it on to Will Jordan, trying to dodge Balakoon. Again, nicely defending there, the Irish, just covering out in the wide channel nicely. Now two-man tackle from the props on Ethan de Groot. Pick and go from Tui Pilotu, almost fell the wrong way. Ireland saw half a chance of being able to turn it over, but just slightly missed out. Geordie Barrett moves it on to Tapia, thinks about the pass out to Tupavai, now cutting back inwards, couldn't link up with Morby. Now Roygaard, back across to the left-hand side again, finds Fletcher, Null's hands. New Zealand in a good position, little bit of a juggle with the ball from Quintupai as he's tackled by Ryan. Pick and go from Tui Pilotu, couple extra meters there again. Away to the left-hand side, the veteran Cody Taylor. There were question marks of whether Rennie would even select him for this match, for the advantage now in favour of New Zealand. 10 metres from the try line. Savia up to Lord. Short ball to Patrick Tui Pilotu. And the big man returns and scores the first try at Eden Park. I can tell you right now, there was pretty much absolutely no one picking Tui Pilotu to score first in this game. Some weren't even picking him to start. In fact, no one was picking him for him to start either, and he's just run in. Well, it was a very well-worked try for the All Blacks here as they take the lead early in the Eden Park test. As easy as that, says Ian. And also, we're all over the place and tackle off the ball. Says my name, and also, blah, says Manny. And Big Paddy says Matthew there too. Let's go, Big Paddy says Johnny Blaze, but he was celebrating it as well with the finger pistols there, Tui Pilotu. Paddy in for a piece. Now, Ruben Love has been strong off the kicking tee so far throughout these Nations Championship games. Did nicely against the Italians, well against the French, and that one has gone over too. I didn't even pick him to score first, says Matthew, and I was picking Tui Pilotu to get injured first, says Rishi. Oh, he's getting... Oh, no, he's all right. They're just replacing his head strapping. I thought for a second you may have been right, and that he had picked up some sort of injury. Nice to get the first try for a change, says Spencer. And also Tui Pilotu's physicality is what's needed against the Guns. And well done, Paddy. I for sure did not expect that. In fact, I wrote him off like a few years ago. Says Andrew there. You can see the celebrations as well from the All Blacks and back play. Josh Lord, McKenzie, all enjoying the work there. Leading 7-0 at Eden Park against Ireland now. 15 minutes into the contest, and like someone alluded to earlier on, the first time that New Zealand has scored first under Dave Rennie. Both games against the French as well as the Italians. New Zealand conceding within the first 5 minutes. That was a nice change for them to be able to get it first. Now Lomax back out on the field, replacing Fletcher Null. That is the blood bin that has been reversed. And first 10 minutes, Ringrose seems huge in defence. AB seem like they're firing without the errors this week, says Neil. Yeah, Ringrose is always going to give you absolutely everything from that centre pairing. He will smash into the opposition. Missed opportunity there for the All Blacks to get the steal at line-out time, but Ireland now attacking 22 metres out. Beautiful from, it was Gibson Park, fired it on the inside. I don't think a couple of the All Blacks even saw it happen. And the cameraman may have missed it to McCarthy, popping it back up to Gibson Park again. Now into the hands of Jack Conan. Ireland looking to go on the counter-attack straight away after conceding. Ball popped up to Tyburn, playing 6 for Geordie Barrett. Starts to drive him backwards. And that is going to be a 4 pass from Ireland. All referee getting involved in the action there. Dan Sheehan got a push in the back from Cody Taylor, which then resulted in Sheehan hitting into the ref. And Sheehan not happy about it one bit. Oh, okay. Dan Sheehan's going to get in trouble here, even though Cody Taylor started it. Okay. So, oh, damn. Whose penalty? I heard Nick Berry say, oh, no, next time it's going to be a penalty. So pretty much what's happened there is it all kicked off because Cody Taylor shoved Dan Sheehan in the back. So Sheehan was not happy. Dan Sheehan, relax, brother. Here's Johnny Blaze. But the All Blacks have now been warned that that's twice that they've tried to start stuff. Yeah, it was actually Tupavai as well who decided to get in there. And we have got the A+ Cody Taylor play there, says Neil. That's kind of an old school Dane Coles type of thing to do, isn't it? The push and turn away. Great tackle. Says my name. And New Zealand is going to win, says Ty. Cam Royard from inside of the 22. It's the mistake from Ireland. Temperament is showing early. That will culminate in cynical defence play and cards. Says Jan. Big push there from New Zealand, but no penalty awarded at scrum time. Roygar goes away to the left. Finds Love now to Pye. Oh, Love was smashed there in the tackle. That would have been Ringrose. I can guarantee you that. No, in fact, who was it? Oh. Okay, it's going to be a penalty now awarded to New Zealand. They're a clean out short, says the referee, because of Gibson Park taking someone off the ball. So the penalty goes to New Zealand just outside of the 22. And Suffolk Moore is my relative. Says Ty there, and he's going to be making his way off of the bench. And beautiful, says Johnny. I'd love to see. Oh, was it? So it was Gibson Park. Okay, I get you. So it wasn't actually the tackle on Love. It was right on the edge of the screen, but it was actually a late shot from Gibson Park who gave him a bit of a shoulder-to-shoulder, just like the anthem refers to. But now it will be the chance for New Zealand. Line-out chance just on the halfway line. And I bet Ruben didn't love that tackle, says Jason. Cody Taylor. Oh. Okay, ready to throw this one in for New Zealand. Seems like it took a little while for the call to come in. Nicely taken by Patrick Tuipulotu. Away to the right-hand side. Now Tupaia collides with Jack Conan near the halfway line again. Van der Flair looking at the turnover opportunity. Tuipulotu goes away to Ruben Love. Now Geordie Barrett moves it on. Jordan passes on the outside to Tupavai. Running down the wing, gets through one. Tackled by Furlong. Now Love. Nice pass there. That was Ethan de Groot with a little bit of silky offloading from the All Blacks. Loose here prop. Barrett moves it on to the Pyre. Now chance here. Love goes for the kick and behind. Bit of a different tactic there from New Zealand. Frawley shut down 5 metres out from his own line. Will Jordan on the ball. Doesn't quite get the turnover. Looks to Nick Berry and asks what he could have done better. Gibson Park gives it off to Tom O'Toole. They're 5 metres out from their own line here, Ireland. It looks like Frawley's injured now too. That is not good news here. Looks like maybe some sort of cut on his forehead. Oh, Gibson Park under all sorts of pressure. Looking to kick it downfield, but his kick is restrained or slightly blocked from the New Zealanders. Jordan passes on the outside to McKenzie. Brilliant tackle from Gibson Park. That's going to be a yellow card for Prendergast because it was unfortunately a knock-on in the process of... Or are they saying it's not deliberate? I think they're going to be in a little bit of trouble as Frawley looks like he's had his jaw and forehead both smashed into here. There is blood coming out of somewhere for Frawley, and I think they're going to review this to see whether or not Prendergast had an accurate chance of being able to catch that possession. Are they able to patch up Lomax? Yep, he is back out there on the field. Looks like Bundy Aki about to be on as well for the Irish. We're only 19 minutes in. This one, I believe, is going to just be an HIA, although Frawley very slow getting back up to his feet. We're going to see the replay. Oh, there it was. It was the knee of Artie. Oh, no, it wasn't. It might have been either. I think, that's not ideal. Hugo Keenan came in and gave him the flying knee in the forehead. Looks like a nasty cut above the eye, yeah, and probably a bit of a headache as well. Like a ref taking the game, says Mark Payne there. Possession at the moment, 63% for New Zealand, 52% territory. Meters made, they have made double the meters of Ireland. Although Ireland have only had the 26 carries compared to New Zealand's 31. So it does show that when Ireland have had that ball in hand, they've made, on average, slightly less meters. 13 tackles missed too. Friendly fires there, slow GT. Yeah, it's a big shot to the forehead. Wouldn't have felt too nice for Gary Ringrose there. Oh, sorry, not Ringrose, for Kieran Frawley there. But now, there's going to be a chance from inside of their own 22 here, Ireland. Sorry, for the All Blacks, I should say. Chance to defend for Ireland just out from the line. New Zealand 50, Italy 33. Italy, are we win, like as in last week? Because it was 47-17 for that one. And we have got there no disrespect on the injury imposed, but your yuck reaction was gold, says Mark. And how good is the All Blacks ball distribution? This is going to be a danger play here from New Zealand on attack. They have got Cam Roigard about to feed this ball in the Irish. They'll be defending just on their goal line. The scrum, again, has gone down without a penalty advantage. Geordie Barrett pops it across. Then a McKenzie gets round Bundyaki for his first tackle attempt of the day. Moves that little bit closer for McKenzie. Get a manhandled by Tyke Byrne, but he has to release it. McCluskey almost got the ball from the breakdown. Josh Lord 5 metres out from the line. New Zealand looking to strike here again. Roigard pops it up to the group. Another advantage, this time for offside, going against James Ryan. Now Roigard up to Tupovai again, 10 metres from the Irish try line. Big run coming from Tui Pilotu, had the ball stripped off him, so they'll go back for the penalty now. And Bullabro says, Asala, welcome in, hope you are doing extremely well. AB's lethal in their first, in their tackles tonight, says Matthew. Yeah, at the moment the Irish, they are tackling at 65%. Which I think is understandable why we are seeing a few metres being made by this All Blacks side. It is going to be the scrum chance now. Right in front of the post. Penalties conceded 3 against Ireland, 1 against New Zealand. And we have got there, does anyone know when the delayed game is going to be on TV tonight? Someone said 8:30, but I could be wrong there. Great commentary, says Dem. Thank you very much. Anyone who is new, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It is greatly appreciated. Your being here for this match of the Nations Championship. It has certainly been an eventful one throughout the first few rounds. These two sides undefeated at this stage of the competition. We're only sitting 21 minutes through what can still be a very eventful Eden Park Test match. 7-0 the scoreline, but New Zealand with another opportunity just out from the Irish line. They will be looking to go over, make it 14-0. Okay, Jimmy O'Brien has passed his HIA as well, the update that has just been given. So that means that he will be able to return, which is fantastic news as Frawley was off. Looks like Tyke Furlong's just put in a contact lens. This is one of those ones that you can't really speed along or else he'll just poke himself in the eye. We have the offside penalties are always called near the try lines these days, says Tilo. And I think that is just down to the fact that sides are trying their best to get up quickly and stop those meters from being made. You have to make sure you're leaving behind that hindmost foot on time or else you can get yourself in a little bit more pressure. And then when they've got the penalty advantage so close to your try line, it's normally not too easy to be able to avoid that try. We have the ABs woke up from last week and Ireland are trying to beat New Zealand at Eden Park. It's like Bulls trying to beat Leinster in Dublin. Not going to happen, says Ian. Does Ireland have team... yes, 8:30, says Alan. And give us the metres line, please. So they are currently still 5 metres out from the line, just waiting for the scrum to take place. Furlong has reattached his eyeball, so we're good to go. The All Blacks, this looks like a different tactic at the moment in terms of the way that they are set up. A lot of men just behind that breakdown or behind the scrum. Although now McKenzie walking back away to that right-hand side. Love situated almost like an NFL quarterback, sitting about probably 5-10 metres behind the scrum's positioning. And Artie Savia going to run it off the back. The skipper goes close. Has he got it down? Referee Berry says yes. Savia, I think, thinks he's got it down, but that looked like it was held up at times by the Irish defence. Ringrose just once again a bit of a push on Tupovai, who's obviously just trying his absolute best to wind up the Irish throughout this 80 minutes. We're going to see the replay here, though. Gibson Park, Ringrose. Did he get it down, Savia? It definitely looked close to the ground with the ball's tip. We're going to see it. Tell you what, that was not down in that replay. Obviously, if they had played it a bit longer, you'd think it got down, but it wasn't completely grounded at the very first contact for Ardie Savia. The name Ringrose doesn't sit well with me. Says Neo and All Blacks cooking, says Dragon there. And Savia been listening to the media saying he hasn't run it off the back. I was thinking the same thing when he took that carry too. It has been talked about a lot how they haven't been using him as a number 8 in the scrums, but that was certainly effective from Savia there. That kick has gone over and now makes the score 14-0 in favour of New Zealand. And it seems like it is mandatory that when you score a try, you get your head strapped up, because that is now Savia and Tuipulotu who have both needed to. We have their try time, says them. How you doing, Curry Cup? Not a massive amount of it this year, unfortunately, just due to the overlaps that it will have with the competitions and whatnot. Okay, Ireland were actually just asking that question, was that grounded? Okay, Nick Berry said they had a look, and it is clear that the ball was down. So it is now going to be 14-0 after 23 minutes. Geordie Barrett running at what was majority of his teammates only a couple days ago. Or sorry, not a couple days. Last year was when he was with the Leinstermen. Actually went to a title with a few of these Irish boys. Our camera angle down all day long. Says my name. Yeah, they chose the worst possible time to cut off that camera angle of the try being scored. Oh, a little bit of a slip there from Roygaard. Sits into the hands of Robert Balakoon, but again the Irish are penalised. What's this one going to be for? Offside called by the touch judge. And it seems to be every time that Ireland put them under a little bit of pressure or New Zealand make a mistake, they then go back for an advantage or a penalty awarded to the Kiwis. And Ireland always talking to the ref, trying to plant down on the ref's mind. Come on, lads. Play footing, not the ref. Says Johnny Blaze. This one's going to be kicked into touch now by New Zealand. Back down towards that halfway line. And New Zealand's boss says Lawrence. Ireland deserve a big loss. A complimentary of the All Blacks, says this Vonday. Ardie Savia, most tries at Eden Park. He is now sitting tied with Stu Wilson at the top of that list. Bowden, Barrett, Martin, Nonu, Julian, Savia all have 8. Cody Taylor ready to throw this one in, though, for the Kiwis. They've gone to Josh Lord a little bit late. Lord was actually coming down when that ball connected with him, but moving away to the right-hand side. Knock on there from Jacobson. No, they've called it as backwards, apparently, and now kicked him behind from New Zealand inside of the 22. Robert Balakoon gets a steep bouncing ball and boots it downfield and gets it into touch. And we over there go. Geordie Barrett get the other try. Ref was right there to see it's real Ando. Yeah, although we can't always use that as the reasoning, because we've seen some before how the referees awarded the try and then from there it's shown that the ball was nowhere near the ground. But yeah, I think that they cleared it with the TMO, so that's the main thing. And the try still stood for Ardie Savia there. Cody Taylor throwing it in and slapped away with a bit of vengeance there from James Ryan. He looked like he was doing a volleyball spike the way that he slapped that one down, but the line out is stolen by the Irish McCluskey. Back to now Jimmy O'Brien, who passed his HIA. Josh Morby getting the intercept for New Zealand, and that was brilliantly done as Ireland had about 3 or 4 men on the outside. Now Love crossed to Josh Lord, just looking to set it here for New Zealand, not going anything too expansive as of yet. Just waiting until I've got their players in position. Go to the All Blacks, says Hugo. Love this ref, absolutely great call, says Albert. Stu Wilson, that set him back a fair way in time. Says Wolf there, now moving it on to the left-hand side. McKenzie looks for the grubber behind. Morby with a bit of acceleration to get close to it and just slapping it into touch. But Jimmy O'Brien, who was ruling that he didn't touch it. So that would mean it's the Irish line-out if he didn't touch it. If he did, it's going to be New Zealand's score. Or sorry, New Zealand's line-out throw. We are the mighty Power Nation. Oh, that looked like it touched the hand of Jimmy O'Brien as he just slid across. The Ardie's try wasn't a try. It was held up, hands under the ball. Says Rugby Guru. Yeah, see, the first, or the second angle that they showed made it look like it was still off the ground. There was a lot of wiggling from Savia as well when he first initially looked to score it. So, yeah, I was curious to see a couple more angles, but the TMO said that they had looked at it and it was all cleared and all good. So there must have been at some point that point of the ball touching the turf. Now Savia, 2-man tackle there from James Ryan as well as Ringrose again. He will play the full 80 minutes of just absolutely smashing into it. Now back across Tui Pilotu, short side, Will Jordan, close to the touchline. Tui Pilotu, 1 metre short of line. I thought he was going in for the double penny, Tui Pilotu. In that case, now Roygaard popping it up, an offside advantage again against the Irish. This one's going to be brutal for them if they keep on conceding penalties. Just out from their line, Roygaard looking to fire it out to the left. That one's going to be knocked backwards, and they'll go back for the penalty once more. And this will be getting towards last warning here, I would think, for this Irish team. They have not been able to stay on side. Take a second, have a squirt, says Nick Berry. For anyone who wants a translation of what that means, it means have a drink while we've got a bit of a break. Dangerous clear out from 7 black. Luke Jacobson might be in a little bit of trouble here, ladies and gentlemen. Remember about 10 minutes ago, I said if anyone was likely to get a red card in this game, it would be Jacobson or Vai. We're going to see the replay now. What does he do? Oh, that's not good. The clean out on Josh Van der Flair does hit him in the head. I think Jacobson will be going to the bin here more than likely. He leads him with the shoulder. Should be a yellow, says D-Low there. And Tui Pilotu proving his worth. Absolutely, he's had a phenomenal start from this one. It's not what she said, says Obi there. All right, they're showing the replays again. It should be red, says D-Low. I think what they're going to end up doing is probably a yellow, and then it will be reviewed. I think Zimbabwe will smash this All Blacks team. Says Kudu, they should probably worry about smashing sides in the Nations Cup first. But it sounds like yellow card is going to be the recommendation. Okay, offside is going to be overruled with foul play. So that means that the penalty is reversed and Luke Jacobson goes to the bin for 10 minutes for the off-field review. And we have got there, that was Dunbaroo, says Sashi. It wasn't the smartest moment from Luke Jacobson. Which unfortunately for him, outside of that first game where he gave away a couple of early penalties, we haven't actually said that much. Why do players love doing that? It's always leading to a yellow card. Yeah, it's like they almost forget that the cameras are on the game. And Discipline, says Hugo, off his feet, says the AI underdog. And that one's going to be kicked to the Dutch by Sam Prendergast. He just asked the question, is there any mitigation that will save Jacobson from a red card? And we will have to wait and see. 9 minutes remaining here of the yellow, which means now the Irish, they will have to make the most of it. Scoring during this period would absolutely help them big time. We have to ask for a friend. Where did you get your name from? We have a similar name in South Africa, but it's for a pie. As in like the name of the channel or my actual name. Going away to the right-hand side though, Jack Conan here, 40 metres from the Irish line. 28 minutes through this game. The All Blacks still lead by 14. Must drop Jordan. Also for the South African tour, he's not scored for 30 minutes now, says Ian. That one's going to be slapped back by Ireland. Tyburn cleans it up. It's Roygaard sweating on the turnover. In fact, now it's Tupolvai. Would have been the penalty in favour of Ireland there. They have given away quite a few throughout the early stages of this match, and it's a mistake there with the back line or with the passing. Again, Tupolvai decides to push in the back as the way to try and fire them up after the mistake. We have there, get to Morby. And also we have got there, put a 2 on Hamish. Put a 2. What's a 2? And we have there, Hamish Pie has more gravy. Now line out here again for the All Blacks, Cody Taylor. Throws it in. Nicely taken by Lord. The middle of the line out, Roygaard across to the left-hand side. Tupaia collides with McCluskey and Conan, two of the more physical players out there on the field for Ireland. Now McKenzie, directional change. Pick and go again from Tui Pilotu. He has been working at a rapid rate at the moment, Tui Pilotu, the way that he's playing here. Now Roygaard crossed Tupolvai. I can tell you right now, from what we've seen throughout the first 29 minutes, there will be players lining up for Ireland to try and get a shot on him. Ethan de Groot, tackled by McCarthy again. Now Roygaard, short side, Cody Taylor. Almost stolen there. Yes, it is by Josh Van der Flair, getting it just before leaving the feet. Now Ringrose, bit of open space on the outside. Short ball to Hugo Keenan rather than firing it out wide to Balakoon. Gibson Park Cross to the left, of course, still that man advantage here for Ireland as well as they move up to the halfway line. Gibson Park crosses it away to the left-hand side. Sam Prendergast looping around, lobby, ball over the top to Sheehan, loses a little bit of momentum. Pyer. It's the tackler on the halfway line though. Sam Prendergast now pops it up to McCarthy. Now again, Prendergast goes in behind to McCluskey, bit of space there. O'Brien delays his pass, but only from the handling problem. Hugo Keenan has a man on the inside and a man on the outside. He decides to go himself. Keenan, he's absolutely smashed by his former teammate Barrett. Ball's knocked back, popped up by Gibson Park, and Sam Prendergast throws it into touch. That awards New Zealand the line out. And D-Mac and Jordan duo, says X-Dragon. And also time says in Kirby at the moment, we are 31 minutes through this contest. We have got there, come on Eileen. Says Michael Paul. It's weird that you mentioned that. I was talking about that song the other day with a couple of my friends. Because I said, it seems like old school songs that had like a name in the song title seem to do a lot better than nowadays songs that have a name in the title. There was Come On Eileen, there was Jesse's Girl, there was Stacey's mum. I don't know who Stacey was, I don't know who her mum was, but she was a very popular lady back in the day. That didn't sound how I wanted it to. Cody Taylor, bit of an injury here for New Zealand. Yeah, yellow card will remain as a yellow card. Who are the try scorers? Patrick Tuipulotu, the first try. Ardie Savia, the second try for New Zealand. Okay, so they're saying that the mitigating circumstances in this case was the fact that Jacobson's arm brushed Ryan, which changed him from being able to get the arm around to just shouldering him in the head. RF sounds relieved it's not a red, says Albert. And also, hey Jude, says Yanko. Yeah, that's a bit more old school in that as well. And we've got their Mana too strong. Mana not strong enough to play at Eden Park, says Sash. And they need a Suf one more on. Well, he is now on due to the injury of Cody Taylor. First line out responsibility of the day for Moore goes straight into the hands of Lord. Roygar back now to Ruben Love in the pocket. And doesn't manage to find touch with it though. Balakoon firing the lobby ball across to Hugo Keenan, who's already shown that he's willing to run it to Pyer. Hanging back nicely to be able to defend. On Prendergast after Balakoon, but they've looked a little bit more dangerous here, the Irish. In just the last few moments, maybe it is the man advantage, and it is a penalty now going the way of Ireland here. It seems like Barrett was the man penalised. We have got there Lucky Luke Jacobson, says my name. And we have there Jacobson out of the South African tour, says Driss, and that yellow was backwards. They have momentum, says Stephen. One is going to be put into touch. About probably 10 metres from the line now for Ireland. How are you doing today, says Carlos? I'm excited. We've got a big day of international rugby that has taken place. The last live stream we're going to be doing will be ending in about 13 hours' time. So it's going to be a big day, but an exciting one. Next game is Australia versus Italy. And then after that, we've got Fiji versus Scotland, South Africa versus Wales, and then to close out the day, England versus Argentina, which could be one of the better games of the weekend. So that one's going to be a 7:10 a.m. kickoff for us here in New Zealand. Gibson Park going away to the left-hand side. Now Conan, big collision with Ethan, a group, but they're 5 metres out from the line here. Ireland with a lot of numbers to the left-hand side. Tyke Byrne gets within a metre. Ball's still there in New Zealand. A lot of players tied up in their breakdown. And over the line, Jack Conan scores. He was one of my keys in the preview that I said to keep an eye out for. And he has shown exactly why there. The physicality close to the line. A very nice attack and run. And now just like that, it gets that little bit closer for this contest. Korea, 16th try. They were going to the left-hand side. New Zealand ended up with two men stuck underneath their breakdown, which meant they were defending technically with 12, but that didn't change a thing. As a Sufwa Moore and Ethan a group, you're running at two of the biggest players out there on the park, and Conan put his head down. He pinned his ears back, and he said, that's the gap that I'm going to create. We have that Jacobson will be bashed in New Zealand. Says Driss there. We have got there, funny how you celebrate a try like they've won. Pathetic. Says Mr. Kiwi. Oh, it's as if I actually like rugby and like to celebrate tries. We have got there, what a try, says Matthew, and Signa for Jacobson, says Driss. Well, they may look at changes. Round the halfway break, we did actually see in the game up against the Italians, Anton Signa went on at halftime for Luke Jacobson. And Jacobson should be replaced for the first, for his try, says Sock. I bet the ABs will get a try just before they go to the shed, says Hanger Rat. And yeah, it could be the momentum shifter that they are after. But now the score, 7 points to 14. Whoever there will be fair. To say I hope the All Blacks can beat the Springboks. I'm a Springbok supporter and I wish for good rugby and competition for all teams. But 7 points difference now between these two sides. Nicely taken inside of the 22 for the Irish. 6 minutes remaining in this first half. I know this is a rugby podcast, but can I ask that we pay our respects to Sir Garfield St. Auburn Sobers, who passed away recently, a cricket great. I'll be sorely missed. Will Jordan's just scored. That's terrible timing from Jordan. If anyone was going to score during a little bit of a memorial moment, it would be Will Jordan. But the All Blacks, a mistake from Ireland. I actually missed it, I'll be honest. So we'll have to watch the replay first to find out what it is. But condolences to him and his family. Well, of course, his family. But season 6 for Will Jordan there. What happened? Ireland passed it away to the left-hand side. McCluskey just firing it in behind Hugo Keenan. And then from there, Jordan picks it up and lightning quick on the counter-attack for New Zealand to be able to score just at the wrong time for Ireland after doing the hard work down the other end of the field. And giving away a gifted 5 for New Zealand. Potentially gifted 7 here too. And Will Jordan has no respect while we are taking a moment, says Xander. Why are there Box supporters on here? Says Xavier, the same reason that when we cover a Springboks game, we have All Black supporters on there. It's because it's international rugby. They're both a part of the competition. So, it makes sense. And counting, says Willow. Plus, I think there's not a rule that says you can only watch games involving your own international side. If there was, rugby would kind of be a bit more rough, wouldn't it? We have there. How many tries has Will Jordan got now? He's up to 51. He is slowly climbing. Well, not even slowly climbing. He is drastically climbing. We have there. Springbok supporters can go. No, well, they can watch a game of rugby. But now this one's going to be kicked off. All drop ball from New Zealand, although it has gone backwards. And what a try, says William. And Rennie has to sack the stupid Luke Jacobson out of the squad. I hate this player, says Riss. Now, Cam Roygaard kicks this one downfield towards the halfway line. Nicely taken by Hugo Keenan. Now sneaks around Josh Lord round the halfway line. Still 4 minutes remaining. This game looked very different only moments ago when it was 14-7, but now it is back to that 14 points difference. Sam Prendergast tries the cross kick. Awkward bouncing ball. Sits up for Morby, who was under pressure from Ringrose as well as Bellacoon. It's ruled as a ruck, so Bellacoon unable to go for that turnover. Then off is the south, says Raymond. Now rolling this one back again. Just what happening? Did I read about a red card? No, it was a yellow for Luke Jacobson. He's still off the field for another 40 seconds. Now, round the halfway line. Nice take from Robert Bellacoon with a great take. He's looked for the offload, but it's been knocked out of his hands by Tui Pilotu. Now looking for the 50-22 there for Geordie Barrett. Gets the ball to skid on. Ireland can't quite get to it. And New Zealand now another attacking chance before the half is over. It was a brilliant kick in behind. They're showing Ruben Love. I thought it was Barrett, but no, it was Love. He receives credit for that kick. We have got there Ireland without New Zealand-born players would be bad, says GTA. Kiwi lads would be absolutely nothing without sucking up to the South African fans, honestly, says Jason. Well, it's one of those ones, it's pretty easy to suck up when they're currently number 1 ranked in the world, isn't it? It's not like we're sucking up to a random nation who's sitting 10th. They're the side also that New Zealand are playing in a 4-match series later on this year. So, it kind of makes sense to praise them a little bit, even if people don't like to hear that they're doing well. Over there, Lovers on fire, says Claus. And too easy for New Zealand, says Ty. Now a soft one more. Ready to throw this ball in nicely. Again, taken by Lord. He's had a good day at the office when it comes to those lineouts. And the retention from New Zealand looking to get this rolling ball going. It's slowly starting to move there for New Zealand. Another penalty advantage. Ireland might find themselves going to the bin now. 5 metres out from the line. Cam Roygaard fires it away to Luke Jacobson, just returning from his yellow card period. Roygaard looks right. Tui Pilotu close to the line. 1 metre short again. Roygaard up to a Samoa Moore, who just tried to put it down. He's claiming a try, but New Zealand are 1 metre short. Love has lost his head. He's decided that it wasn't. Right. It's going to be a penalty advantage. Nick Berry said they are going to check it. A Samoa Moore thinks he scored it. It looked like maybe he was initially just short of the line. We have their women's rugby is electric, bro. How can we not be overjoyed with our women? They're built different, says Iron Lion. We're going to see the replay here. Did McCluskey do enough to stop the grounding? No, that's on the but does he have control? Yes, he does, I think, for a soft one more. And this looks like it's going to be another try for New Zealand by the end of the end, or by the end of the half. We have got there about reading more or doing more commentary. I can read the chat comments, but I wanted to hear the match, please. My apologies. We will try our best to balance it, although that is one thing that we do differently on the channel compared to just commentary, as we actually like to involve people in it too. But they are going to be going upstairs with a TMO decision here. And I think that this one is going to be in favour of a soft one more now. Look to slam it down. From that angle, it looked short initially, but from the other angle, it looked like that ball was just about brushing the white line. What's the verdict? Yeah, just about touching that one. Nick Berry is better. Your mod's deleting my comments. Not that I know of. The comments are going at 1,000 miles an hour, so I've probably missed a few of yours. I wouldn't take it personally. We have got there. Glad I'm not the TMO. What time is your England versus Argentina game? It is going to be kicking off at 7:10 a.m. New Zealand time. And we are going to be starting at 6:55. Right. Decision from Ben Whitehouse. As you can see, you can award the try. The ball is on the line, and that means New Zealand now have themselves the bonus point here in the 39th minute. But Amua goes over. We have got there. Hamish has a lot of words blocked, I think. It's very censored. The only words that I've got blocked are like the extremely racist and offensive ones. So if you're trying to use them anyway, it's your own fault for not having your comments come through. We have got the excellent bonus points achieved already despite a yellow card. But yeah, ever since that yellow card of Luke Jacobson, with the exception, I think it was actually the scoring of the try from Ireland that seems like it's fired up New Zealand that little bit more here. But 26 points to 7 now. And now chance here for Love to be able to add the additional to it. Is straight out in front. Looking to use up a little bit of the shot clock here, but there will still be a kickoff no matter what. Although they're trying to get it as close to halftime as they can here in New Zealand. 10 seconds on the shot clock, 11 seconds remaining on the half. So that one has gone over from Ruben Love, and that will make the score 28 points to 7. They just showed Ian Foster in the stands. We're seeing the bump off there. Josh Van der Flair just got his head on the wrong side. Probably lucky that he didn't end up getting any sort of injury from it, as Amor is certainly not easy to be able to stop. And there's a good measure for where the All Blacks are. Says Fa'alata. Hopefully I've said that correctly. I think I may have butchered it though. I do apologise. Now the ball in the hands of the Irish. They look to get one last move going before the halftime break. They are currently down by the 21. Now Gibson Park, cross to the right-hand side. McCluskey moves it on to ring ropes. He sneaks through a suffer one more. Now knock on. Advantage now over as well. Gibson Park, cross to Tyg Furlong, bracing for impact. The tackle of Vai. Oh, was it Prendergast? They're looking a bit stagnant at the moment, Ireland, although that will help. Nice run from Joe McCarthy. Almost got turned into a rolling maul, but he gets the offload away to Gibson Park again. Van der Flair. Now wide cut out pass from Sam Prendergast. Up towards the 40-metre line. Now McCluskey makes an extra 10. Gibson Park away to the left again. Sam Prendergast moves it on. Conan to Ryan. Currently Conan the lone try scorer for Ireland in this game, but if they score right now, they are not out of this contest, but they do need something in the near future. Gibson Park back across to the right, bounce ball into the hands of Conan again, looks to get through Vai. Gibson Park moves it off to Jimmy O'Brien. He's had an eventful half. He went off with the HIA, but did pass it earlier on. Barrett wanted the turnover, couldn't quite get their hands on the ball. Another big run from Furlong. We're up to 9 phases in a row now for the Irish. Skip pass to the left-hand side. Now back to James Ryan. Drops the body weight into Roy Gard. Is that legal from Tupavai? Must have been. Oh no, in fact, penalty. He was offside at the breakdown, Vai, so ends up penalised for the All Blacks. This is where Ireland now have a big choice to make. Do they go 3 or do you go 7? I think you almost look towards the corner, and that is exactly what Sam Prendergast is doing here. They have decided that they're far enough behind that they have to look to be aggressive. And we have got there bloody Tupavai again, dropped this fella. Says Mr. Kiwi for life. Yeah, playing 6 for the first time this season in an All Blacks kit. That Simon Parker didn't receive any minutes throughout July. New Zealand should have been on a red card. This is BS. Says LB there. And we have got there also 40 minute goodie. We should smack the Irish second half too, says Jeff. Okay, Nick Berry just saying there that Ireland have closed the gap late. We have got there, how come you aren't in the suit today, Amish? I'm just wearing the normal dress shirt for this one. The suit's kind of made its retirement, I think. It hasn't really come out in the last year or so, I don't think. It's like going way back. Says Tomo, nicely thrown into Joe McCarthy, the Irish with the rolling ball. 10 metres out from the opposition line here. The All Blacks looking to defend. Before that halftime break, going into the sheds with a 21-point lead is much nicer than a 14. But the Irish, they'll be looking to cut it back down to that 14 margin. Working the breakdown there. That looks pretty close, and it is Luke Jacobson who gets the crucial turnover for New Zealand there. Jacobson getting the crucial time turnover. They're showing Sav here, but they are now giving the credit to Jacobson there too. Are we over there? Are you wearing pants, Amish? I am indeed, yes, wearing pants. And 2.4k watching and 340 likes. Come on, Jap, says David. But New Zealand take the quick tap. They boot it into touch. And the halftime score now at Eden Park, 28 points to 7 between these two sides. Always against the try, Amish, says Dion Sands. Wait, always. Oh, so in terms of taking the 3 instead. Yes, the Ireland going into halftime, they could have been 18 points down here, but it's still a big margin. I think they wanted to get one big moment before the end of it. All right, so all the decisions going more on the All Black side. That's going to be the commentary. Says Labra there. New Zealand did receive a lot of penalties throughout that first half. Ireland constantly getting themselves offside when they were defending inside of their 22, which I think definitely wasn't helping their case. The suit doesn't go well on YouTube channel. Says Floyd Kingy there. And to the Six Nations break, Ireland. Says, and not necessarily. I think that Ireland... You know, we mentioned about it last week, their game up against the Japanese. It definitely wasn't their best showing. That game up against Australia, they had some brilliant moments. But again, it probably wasn't the best of the Irish that people were after. But this game, they haven't quite found their full stride as of yet. I think that they look decent at times. But sadly, consistency-wise, we've seen more of the All Blacks with ball in hand. And also that penalty count has certainly meant that New Zealand have had quite a few opportunities to try and break the Irish down. We have the English players are cowards, says Stephen there. And we have got there, also got guys, we've got gears up to go, says Jay. And don't get complacent, All Blacks. Yeah, well, they definitely can't do what Australia did up against the French. And that is go into a second half feeling like this game is well and truly in control. And we have got the AB's bench to come on and cause havoc soon. Yeah, well, we have seen the change slightly of Fletcher North, about 10 minutes. Lomax, though, able to continue in this game after having a bit of a leg cut. We have seen the change of a Safwa Moore. Cody Taylor not out there on the field currently, and a Moore already scoring the try since making his way on. The Irish are going to come out firing in the second half. Yeah, they have to be determined, and they have to come out into the second half with a real extra level of aggression. Nothing that gets them penalised, of course, but just to show that they still feel they're in this. And to be fair, an early try in the second half could definitely get something going. But they need to do it early here, Ireland. Conceding another try would hurt them big time. And I think that would take them out of this game. Are we over there? Ever tried? I tried every streaming site under the sun. Thank God for you. Says Will Harrison there. And yeah, we are going to be here all throughout today. There are plenty of matches that are taking place. There we go. This is the way that the day is situated or shaping up. Japan versus France, that is around 30 minutes away from kicking off. That is the one that does overlap, unfortunately. Australia versus Italy. That will be taking place at 10 p.m. New Zealand time. So we are going to be covering that one on the channel too, alongside all 3 of the later matches. Fiji versus Scotland, South Africa versus Wales, and Argentina versus England. And again, that Argentina-England game could be an absolutely phenomenal one. England came in as the underdogs at the start when they first opened up the odds. And then from there, it went back into the favour of the English after what they were able to do against the Fijians and when their team was announced as well. So yeah, it should be a thoroughly entertaining back and forth game to close out this stage of the Nations Championship. But for anyone wondering, Nations Championship, we're up to round 3. When is round 4? Well, it's a little while, 112 days away. We've pretty much got 4 months, and it is the start of November that those games are going to be happening. Of course, we have got this round, 2 more after that, and then the finals round where it will be the top of the North versus the top of the South, the second place versus second place, etc. So it's pretty much no semi-finals, just one straight final at the end. Winner takes all for the 1 versus 1 and the overall rankings. Now, the reality, though, is 2 sides could be undefeated on one side of this draw. So then points differential, bonus points, all come into play also to try and get that number 1 seeded spot heading into the final. And at November 2, we have got there Ireland. It's not as wealthy as New Zealand. We have there the hardest team I've ever played against. South Africa just conditioning differently. They were hard, says Iron Lion, and your top-notch commentator, Amos Churchill. Says Taro there, thank you very much. We have got plenty more coming up today, like I mentioned, so anyone who is new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We have their Ireland is having a stinker. They will soon become Wales 2.0 when they begin the rebuilding phase, says George. Although I feel like the rebuilding stage has already kind of started for this Irish side. Like, looking through at this team, don't get me wrong, there are a few veterans still in the mix, but there are a few of the younger players coming up through the rankings too. So I don't think it will be as brutal of a change as some people are anticipating. We have the Irish can't hack the pace, says Immigrant there. And also we have there South Africa is there. How did we get on to, rather than talking about teams in the rugby side of things, how did everyone get on to just talking about different countries and insulting them? Like in terms of for their economy and whatnot. Where did that come from? We have there England lost to Argentina in soccer. Let's see if they can do it in the rugby, says Jose. Scotland is best team in the British Isles, says LB, and Amua will be on the start sheet in the next game. Well, there were people who wanted to see Asafo Amua and Samasoni Tokiaho actually starting this match. But, well, not both starting, but as the starter and the man off the bench. Hopefully the injury to Taylor is nothing too significant. The Goat Commentary says, kiss the rings. But yeah, in terms of, I mentioned about what is coming up for this Nations Championship competition today. I also want to mention what is coming up international rugby-wise. After this round of the Nations Championship, there's actually a bit of a break. The next one that is going to be taking place is actually in 21 days' time, and that is the Stormers going head-to-head with South Africa. Going head-to-head with New Zealand. Japan versus Australia, they are also playing each other a few times in the near future as well. And then alongside that, Argentina versus South Africa. So that is our next stage of international rugby that is going to be happening after this weekend. So it's a bit of a break, and then we're straight back into the international rugby action. Of course, before then, though, we will get to see the squad announced for the greatest rivalry tour from New Zealand. South Africa will also announce their squad. Alongside that, we'll see the Aussies announcing another rebuilt team heading into that Japanese series that they've got coming up. Appreciate you commentating all the matches. How's bells, you need coffee, says Aaron NZ. And AB's able to keep that record hot and ready for the box to collect next year. Says so incredible, and AB's keep getting better as a team. They look ominous, no doubt, says Sands. And yeah, they've had quite a few improvements. And it's quite interesting, though. With the exception of the Will Jordan try, every other try has been scored by the forwards in this contest. So a bit of work being done up front. Josh Lord doing nicely in those lineouts. I mentioned about it earlier on, how they had looked to target him, and 5 lineouts won by him at this point in time. Only 1 lineout still, and that is James Ryan. We have got there, can you change your channel name to Springbok Lads? That'd better describe your content, please, says Jason. I'd just be better off getting rid of you, Jason, wouldn't I? Then I wouldn't have to hear about it as much. We have got there this team under Rennie. I'll eat the box for breakfast, says Jay, I should say. Who's been your best player this half? I think this one's a bold call. I think Patrick Tuipulotu has been one of the pick of the players out there on the field for the Kiwis. As, you know, he scored the early try. Again, not many people thought that he was going to be able to, but he did. Then from there, he's looked actually very close to scoring 2 other tries, just short of the line. Outside of him, I think that we've seen Love. He's been all right in that number 10 jersey. He had that 50-22 that, again, got the Kiwis on the front foot. Will Jordan did all right. Yeah, Will Jordan's always going to be relatively up there in terms of the players. And Damian McKenzie at times, actually, I think worked very nicely throughout that first half too. We have their Ireland just as much as they're trying, not handling the All Blacks' ferocity. All Blacks going hard and focused determination. Man, it's so good to watch. And also, we have got there, you people talk a lot of stuff on here, says 10. And will the pants be coming off when Springboks take to the field? No, because it will probably be about -2. So I'd like to keep the pants intact if I can. I want to see Segner score. Says Ek Dragon, in front of the Eden Park crowd as well, where he does play his rugby for the Blues. I give the ball to Morby. He hasn't had a huge amount of possession throughout that first half for Josh Morby. He had a couple crucial moments, though. Meters gained at the moment. At the top of the bunch is Hugo Keenan with 68. Mackenzie's had 42. Will Jordan has had 32 also. Was Cody Taylor substituted? He was. Safwa Moore made his way on and then scored within a couple of minutes. We look dangerous, bro. Damn, says Charles there. With how Derry is developing, bro, is a beast. Says there for Johnny Blaze. Yeah, he did everything that he could have to get a spot in this matchup. But then, unfortunately, rotation-wise meant that he was the one who did end up missing out. Now, I have to say, though, Tui Pelotu certainly put his name back in the hat. We talked about how crucial he will be throughout the South African tour, and I think that he's proven it in this game up against Ireland, just how aggressive and how physical he can be in those important moments. The big thing, though, is to make sure he doesn't end up injured. We've got there, how's Tupa Vai been? Vai's been all right as a whole. He's been making some good tackles. He's had a couple runs with ball and hand out wide. He's been trying to fire up the Irish throughout the match. Anytime New Zealand win a penalty, he's the first one to push someone in the back or rub them on the head, which can also lead to getting into trouble later on in the game. There's a rugby stream. If you're not about that, says Daniel. We have there Tui Pelotu and Holland are our locks. Is Holland going to be back in time, though? And I must say, I thought Australia was back, but the record is terrible at the moment. Honestly, I don't know what will help them. They need a new coach, but I don't know what more he can do. Yeah, see, Leskis has got a tough job ahead of him, hasn't he, in terms of what is still to come. They are just showing the big weekend ahead in terms of the rugby and also the other sports that are taking place. The last game of the Nations Championship, it will be kicking off at 7:10 a.m. tomorrow morning, so that is in around 11 hours' time, and that'll be the contest between Argentina and also the English. We have got there, I will say, if they try that off the ball-ish with the box, it won't go well, says LB. Did Tyrell Lomax return from the gut leg? Yes, so he did end up making his way back out onto the field after about 10 minutes. So Null went back off and he will be able to return later on. The contest is probably good news for Tyrell Lomax because initially it seemed like there might have been some sort of injury to his upper leg, but then there was the cut that was there and that was the reason taken off the field instead, because having another injury for Lomax would have been brutal, seeing as he's only just come back from his last one. I like Vai and Tui Pelotu as the 5 and 6. See his fancy. It'll actually be quite interesting to see who's going off in the second half, because they've got Anton Segner, they've got Peter Larkai. They strategically could take off Luke Jacobson, Artie Savi. In fact, I think that Jacobson's confirmed as one of the changes here. There's no point risking him when he is sitting with the yellow card already. You might as well give him another 10 minutes or so and then chuck him back off, even though he did get that crucial turnover right at the end of the half. I thought Irish would do better, says Kevin. And Damien is skilled, or enough skill to get the pass under pressure and get away from defenders. Had a solid game, says Charles. Yeah, he's been finding some nice breaks for the Kiwis. Him with Will Jordan, 14-15. It's a combination that Rennie has stuck with every game, and I do think it's getting slightly stronger as it does keep on going. We have there Luke Jacobson better score good in the second half. And also time to wreck the Irish in the second, says In a Light there. And also Warriors are doing super bad, are they? I know that they're playing at the same time, aren't they? They started at 8. So, no, they started a bit earlier. 10-10's not bad, though. I know the Dragons aren't exactly ranked highly. They're 11th, but they might go all right in the second half, perhaps. We have got there, let's go the ABs. Have the game started up yet? Not quite. We've probably still got another 2 or 3 minutes before this halftime break is over. And we have got there 12-10 to the Dragons, says Herb there. And also, Japan once bet the box 50 plus. You do not hear them overestimating their abilities every time they play the box. Says so incredible. And All Blacks will destroy Ireland in the second half. Well, the thing is, whoever starts better in the second half, I think, controls the second 40. For me, if Ireland get a fire back and score within the first 5 to 10 minutes, they aren't out of this contest. But if New Zealand are the next team to score, That's going to be the thing that really does hurt. And then that's when we get towards a really ugly looking scoreline for this Irish team in New Zealand. They'll look to increase that points differential. They will look to be able to try and get a few more extra points differential situation points, I guess you could say, on the Nations Championship standings. Of course, that can all change in an instant, though, in terms of those last November games. We have got there Tuipulotu, prosthetic inclusion, says Mwaso. And also, whoever there's All Blacks B team doing well, says Jason. I think anyone who wears the jersey is probably a part of the A side. I don't think that this was considered by some Dave Rennie's strongest lineup that he could offer, or at least close to it. A frustrated Irish, we can tell by your comments, says Sam Greer. Yeah, it's just a shame that they haven't been able to fully find their feet yet throughout that first half. But again, a game of rugby is a game of two halves, and there's still 40 minutes remaining. The Irish, they are going to be down by the 21, so it's going to take a lot of effort to get back into this game, but it is not impossible. They just need to start well and put their foot down. New Zealand, as we mentioned, Luke Jacobson received that yellow card. So in this scenario, if you see another yellow for New Zealand or you see a red card, you can score a lot of points during those periods. Game on, says laughing, yet both sides making their way back out onto the field now. In fact, they are now out there. So it will be kicked off by New Zealand for the second 40 minutes. And okay, how much of a bleak second half, says Jay. Just showing the changes that we have seen made. Asafo Moore, the lone change in the All Blacks starting lineup. We have seen a few other changes before them, but Gary Ringrose still out there, fired up, ready to go. Jimmy O'Brien, he returned from his HIA, which does mean that the Irish actually do have their starting same lineup, but the little bit of a but that comes alongside it is the fact that Frawley off of the bench also got injured. We have the URC is not test level, says the AI underdog. It's kicked off now by Ruben Love. That one's going to go just the 10 metres. And New Zealand get the possession back. You know how I mentioned that Ireland need to start this one quickly and effectively. That is the last thing that they could afford to have. Break of the line, but a knock on from the All Blacks. It was Geordie Barrett who's put that ball down, and now the Irish back in position 30 metres out from their line. Bit of a miss pass, so they'll go back for the scrum. Big Paddy to score first in the second half. Says Matthew there. I'm watching both games on the split screen. And, of course, there is another game that's starting up in 20-minute time. That will be France versus Japan 2. I was expecting more from the third-ranked Ireland. Northern Hemisphere are being outclassed, says Big Hopper. Yeah, heading into this game, we did see 3-all in the first round, 3-all in the second round. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not we get it to be 4-2 or 5-1 in this round, or whether it will remain as 3-3 in terms of North versus South. Because the thing is, I'm backing, I think Scotland will win. I think that France will win. So it kind of comes down to Argentina, England as to whether we're 3-3 again, more than likely. Now Gibson Park, 40 metres out from their own line here, Ireland, with the smaller pack as well. In terms of the build weights, Johanna White to the left-hand side, now moving it on. Ringrose goes to McCluskey. He looks to run it straight at Geordie Barrett, who was up for the challenge. Gibson Park, nice sniping round. The side of the breakdown, Roygaard gets him. Joe McCarthy up to McCluskey again. Another carry from him. Conan with the offload to Joe McCarthy. Bit of space now for Ireland on the far side of the field, moving up to 25 metres out, outnumbering them on the left-hand side. Ireland, Gibson Park makes an extra 5 or so metres. So does McCluskey. They move up to 5 metres out, but on the ball there for the All Blacks. Is it going to be the turnover? No, is the call from the referee. Geordie Barrett felt like he had done enough to be able to turn that one over. Robert Balakoon, 5 metres from the line. McKenzie rolls out of the breakdown. Back across there. Jack Conan, 2 minutes into the second half period. They're saying that the All Blacks player was pinned in, so no penalty advantage. Short ball from Josh van der Flair, not getting a massive amount of momentum moving forward off that carry now, Ireland. Why does this match remind me of the 2022 Ireland first test match? It might be a similar scoreline too, depending on what happens in the second half. That game was 42-19. And now again driven backwards, 10 metres from the line. Ireland need that line break or someone to just push over and get that little bit more momentum. Trying to get through with Jack Conan, but Asafo Moore gets him down. New Zealand yet to give away a penalty advantage. Luke Jacobson wanted to try and change that now. Dan Sheehan running high. It was Quintal Pyer. Counter ruck from Tuipulotu, and the advantage now and penalty awarded. Okay, so it's going to be Tui Pelotu swinging around in the breakdown and ending up getting penalised for offside. And Ireland really are not as good as they portrayed themselves. Says LB and D-Mac a try again, says Hian, and I've decided to kick this one towards the corner here for the Irish. Penalties conceded, 7 from Ireland, 4 from New Zealand. But if New Zealand don't get out of this 5 metres out from the line area, that number could get very even. We have you there, Breakham, says Andrew. Ready to lift up. More than likely Tyg Byrne or McCarthy. No, in fact, they're going to go Ryan instead to the back of the line out. Chance here for McCarthy. Moves 1 metre short. Morby makes the crucial tackle there. Gibson Park wanted the penalty again. Doesn't receive it. Van der Flair 1 metre out from the line again here for Ireland. Gibson Park, they've got numbers on the left-hand side if they can get it out there, but they're going to use their forwards. 1 metre short again. It's good defence from the All Blacks, but how long can it hold on McCarthy? He's going to be turned onto his back. Does the ball come out? It's a penalty. No, it's a try for the Irish. They've found a McCarthy grounding New Zealand. We're trying to turn it into a held-up situation. McCarthy slid down the side of the post and has snuck that ball down as Ireland score first in the second half. McCarthy is third of the career. And again, it's a day for the forwards with the exception of Will Jordan, who at this stage doesn't really count because he scores each and every week at this point in time. But they were trying to hold him up. It may have resulted in McCarthy just being able to sneak his way round with a bit of a rotation. And Jacobson out, please, Segner in. And in the funeral watching rugby, I think something is wrong with me. That's how much I love rugby, says Anne. That's commitment. Hopefully you haven't got it on loudspeaker, or else that might get you in a little bit of trouble. Hello from Sydney, says, Bite, welcome in. The kick has gone over 2, and now at halftime, it is just after halftime, 28 points to 14. That's slightly concerning, says Mark there. Let's see it, McCarthy. Must have got it down. They did well to notice that, Nick Berry. That one's kicked off, taken by Ireland now, just outside of the 22. A try no good, didn't want them to get to. And coming in the Irish, a furlong, few extra metres for him as well. But still plenty of time. 14 points difference between these two sides. Prendergast kicks it down into the All Blacks 22. Love looking to run it forward, pies it across to Damian McKenzie. We'll go for a kick down the middle of the field. Ball bouncing awkwardly for Prendergast inside of the 22. He's looking for the torpedo kick and looking to bounce it into touch, but it does go back infield. Ruben Love again across this time to Will Jordan. Goes for the low kick, wanting the 50-22, but it sits up for Hugo Keenan, who will run it back for the Irish. Now he's smashed in a 3-man tackle, but quickly recycled Ringrose. Now held on to by a Moore. That looked more like a weird... I'm not even going to say what it looked like, but pretty much he had him held up around the crotch region. Balakoon now down the short side. Now Gibson Park on a way to the left-hand side. Big shot on Conan. Driven back by De Groot and Amua. Bit of a counter-ruck there from Jacobson. I see that you have a heavy night. Who's got the tries just tuned in during Family Tree. Or doing a Family Tree, he's given. So far we've seen Patrick Tui Pelotu. We have seen Artie Savia, Will Jordan, Asafua Moore, and most recently for the Irish, we saw the try from Joe McCarthy, and their first try was Jack Conan. Inside of the 22 for New Zealand, so they are able to kick this one into touch if they'd like. Jacobson just sets it. Now ball rolling back. Ruben Love will not be required for this one. Roy Garb will do it himself. And he kicks it into touch off the left, but under pressure early on in the second half here for New Zealand. Only 38 metres out from the line, and Ireland have another chance to get their attack going. Hold on, the All Blacks don't be like the Wars. And Patrick getting another try. 47 minutes through. Double blow of the whistle. Nick Berry starting to get a little bit frustrated with how late the Irish are joining into the line out. Just having a bit of a discussion beforehand. The crowd are getting a bit restless with it too. The Irish are defending a little better. Says Hanger Rat. Now going into the middle, taken by Tyg Byrne. Gives him back across to McCluskey. Now passing it on Ringrose. Nice delayed pass from Sam Prendergast. Fires it out wide, but again, the pass just a little bit too high, and Jimmy O'Brien, it slips through the fingertips and then goes into touch. I'll breathe easily as soon as Gibson Parks retires. That guy rubs my heart the wrong way. He's just too good, says So Incredible. No, Ireland can't pass to save their lives, says Hangarak. Yeah, they do the hard work of breaking through, and then just that last pass. It's been a lot of lobby passes from the Irish, I would say. A suffer more, though, with the line out here for the All Blacks, taken by Tupovai this time. Now the All Blacks looking for that rolling maul with a suffer more, though. Coming through the middle was James Ryan, and he's managed to pull it down. A more rolling the wrong way. Almost gets himself into a little bit of trouble. Counter ruck here from the Irish. It's almost turned into a rolling maul of more players, but the ball was on the ground. And now Ireland on it again. Six is told to get out of it. Tell you what, the ball might... No, never mind. It's back on the side of the All Blacks. That was two very scrappy rucks back to back. What's the score? 28-14 in favour of New Zealand with 31 minutes remaining. Now, kicking this one up high again for Cam Roygaard. Jumping onto it was Geordie Barrett, taking it nicely. Now Savia moves away to the left-hand side. Numbers for New Zealand if they can shift it out. Morby changing the direction of his run. Tackled low by Gibson Park and finished off by Byrne. 45 metres from the Irish line now. This is one of the first times we've seen New Zealand attacking inside of the Irish half for the second half of play, and it's knocked on out wide by McKenzie. Got a little bullet pass from Lomax. And now the line-out option, the one that the Irish will go for. Game over, says Tilo. And expecting 3 more tries from New Zealand, says Nate. Is the yellow card still in effect? No. So Jacobson's been on the field probably about 15 minutes or so. And we have got there, put some studs in, lads. And Luke Jacobson to get another try, says Kian. That's better pressure on the fence by the ABs. Now line out here for the Irish. 39 minutes in and another change. 39 metres out from their line, I should say, but Ethan de Groot, he will make his way off, and Xavier Numia for his second opportunity. The international kit, he did play up against the French. Now a big chance. De Groot has been solid for New Zealand throughout these July internationals. Well, the try scorers on both sides. For the All Blacks, it was Patrick Tuipulotu, Artie Savia, Will Jordan, as well as Asafua Moore. For the Irish, Jack Conan and Joe McCarthy. Now kicked high, waiting for that one to come down, nicely taken by Ruben Love. Referee rules it as both men were competing for the ball. Now McKenzie playing almost the first 5 roll just in the way that the All Blacks were attacking there. Geordie Barrett kicking it in behind, looking for the 50-22. It was very close. The foot may have been on the line for Keenan. Prendergast kicks it into touch anyway, and it has gone pretty much straight sideways off the boot. So because of that, it will be the chance now for the All Blacks on the 22. Yeah, there's no real contest in the air there. That should have been a penalty to New Zealand for Jimmy O'Brien tackling Ruben Love as he was coming down. Okay, they've just said that the penalty advantage would be over anyway, and Hugo Keenan was in touch. So it was a 50-22 for Geordie Barrett. Score says, Nick, it's still 28-14. Looks like Ruben Love has injured himself here on the way down in that contact. Looks like the left knee. A little bit of concern there. Looks like he's struggling to get back to his feet. Ruben Love get another try, says Kian. And we have got there, he just threw them. Or just threw him, and nah, it's not a penalty, says Short Video. Yeah, although Jimmy O'Brien, he as a player has the responsibility of putting down Love, and he did wrap his arms around him. So you can understand why it is the penalty. He didn't land too badly at all, Ruben Love, to be fair. And yellow says Sash. And go to the All Blacks says Allen's Prendergast has asked so much. So we need to cover his face with a pair of bonds, says Sock. And Josh Law get another try. It should be a red, actually, although there was no awkward landing in terms of neck or head for Ruben Love, but it is a concern as Love is getting his leg heavily strapped now. It looks like Caleb Clark might be close to making his way onto the field, which more than likely would move Morby to fullback. Or Will Jordan to fullback. Actually, you could go with either man in that 15 jersey. Enrico not playing, not for this contest. No, he is still training with the squad this week due to the amount of injuries that they've had in the outside centre or outside back department, but more than likely will be named in the South African tour. Hey, come on, that's no red card. You must be watching some other games. Mate, wake up, says Dennis. Yeah, it was like a penalty at most for me. But they also did say advantage over, and they got a 50-22 anyway. I love it's been cooking the Irish. So here's Reese. And as we got there, he's a gooseberry. But Love doing some one-legged hopping. He looks like he's going to be all right to continue here. Crowd cheering as well. The fact that he is going to be continuing in this contest, and he will be straight away into the action. How has Morby been so far? They haven't really got it to him too often, to be honest, Morby. There's been a couple times where he's been that next pass when they've gone to ground. But I don't think he's done too much wrong, but he also hasn't had any big moments as of yet for Josh Morby. He tackled him in the says Immigrant. Yeah, which is why it was going to be the penalty, as Berry alluded to. But because they got the 50-22, they then went down the field, and they have the line out in the 22 anyway. Now, ball is on the side of the All Blacks. Cam Roygaard fires it away to the right-hand side. Finds the hands of Morby, but shot down early by Josh van der Flair. Now Tupaia trying to straighten and get through. Stuart McCluskey. Been released out the back. Roygaard moves it on again, this time to Xavier Numia. He beat over 20 defenders in Super Rugby Pacific. One of those impact players that really looks towards now for this season. Now, Quinn Tupaia. Pick and go from Savia on the short side. Gets through Gibson Park. Pumps the legs and makes a couple extra meters. Moving the All Blacks into the 22 now. Tupaia. Another bit of crash ball next to the breakdown. Numia. Two-man tack on him by Furlong as well as Tyke Byrne. Now Tupavai getting side shuffled towards the near touch line. Currently the All Blacks still 15 metres out from the Irish line. The score in the second half, we've seen one try from Ireland, none from New Zealand as of yet, but this is their best chance to be able to cross the try line here. Tupavai, another carry from him. Roygaard looking for the ball, decides to go for a snipe himself, gets driven back by McCarthy again. And they've got the advantage now, New Zealand. They can throw absolutely everything into this one. Up to 10 phases in a row. Savia looking short side to Lord. Good physicality on display from the Irish defence. Still playing penalty advantage. Nick Berry just reminding Roygaard that that is an option. Big run from Numia. Can't get over the top of Josh van der Flair. Now slowly coming back out again. Asafo Moore. Hit almost on the wrong side for McCarthy. And now 10 metres out from the line, New Zealand. Barrett moves it on to Tupaia. I'd say Nick Berry, if they don't make a couple more metres soon, they may just go back for that initial penalty. Big driving shot on Ruben Love by Gary Ringrose. Now back across, Patrick Tuipulotu. He has got them over the gain line multiple times in this contest, and now they'll go back for the penalty. Now we have no penetration from the All Blacks, says Sash. Now 5 metres out from the line, the All Blacks more than likely will kick this one towards the corner. And we have there, why is the high scores and many tries since the Nations Championship? Is rugby changing, or is it the new maul rules? Says Andrea, although we haven't seen too many maul tries from these two sides in this match, and you still rule it as kind of high scoring between the teams. With the, what do we got? We got 42 points after 53 minutes, so almost a point a minute. And come on, the Irish. Okay, Joe McCarthy has just been told if they want to get the eye or the contact lens back in, he has to do it behind the goal line. So he's just going to go in blind here. And we have the Luke Jacobson, another try. And Japan versus France is about to start. Yeah, they are just about to get underway in 2 minutes' time. It is a shame that that game overlaps. We did actually see it in the first round as well. Our Italy versus Japan was overlapping with some of the other matches. And we have got their rugby as professional now. And they have to improve or they lose their jobs. Now ready for the line out of Safwa Moore. Only 7 metres from the try line for New Zealand, thrown in, taken by Lord for about line out number 7 that he's been able to win. And this one slowly making its way towards that 5 metre line. Safwa Moore just tripped over Tupovai's foot at the back, which stopped him from freight training his way a little bit closer. I think Vai's got a pants problem at the moment. Now Tuipulotu Waiting for this ball, but instead Lomax delays the pass to then pop it up into the hands of Tui Pilotu. Still 5 metres out from the line. Again, Ireland have to be on point with their defensive effort here. They cannot rush up, or else they may find themselves getting a final warning. Roigard goes across to Barrett. Now Tupai delays his path. Great defence from Ireland again to stop them from sneaking through. Roigard tries to go himself, makes those 2 metres like he did last time. Savia pops it up to Numia. He's getting close to the try line, 1 metre out. Lomax stays low. Brilliant work from Byrne to be able to stop him from scoring, but Roigard looking away to the left-hand side. Lord wanted the ball. They'll go over the top. Quick hands from Tupai. Lord spins, it's Love. 1 metre short. McKenzie goes over his halfback and scores the next try of the match for New Zealand. That's their 5th now. D-Mac scores, says Angarat. In there, plays the halfback role. Ruben Love thought he was going over, but then just ends up short of the line with McKenzie seeing the opportunity to snipe it. And try time, says Alex. Alex and Quintupai made that. Quintupai was busy on attack there. We saw probably 3 or 4 carries from those phases from Tupai with his directional changing, and then that last minute pass where he popped it up to Ruben Love after the 2-man rush defence on him. And Ireland, or Irish, are spent, says Sash. And D-Mac in the house, says Floyd Kingy there too. I bit my lip really hard just then like before, and I hit it well, but absolutely battered the inside. But 24 minutes remaining here. And the All Blacks have scored their 5th try. They already had the bonus point. And let's go deeper. We got to go deeper, says Sam, and that kick has gone over from Ruben Love. He's sitting 5 from 5 out there on the field currently. And awesome guys up the ABs. And another 4 tries coming up, says Jeff. And let's go D-Max, says Anxiety. And we need 50 points. They are getting closer to it. They have got themselves the 5 converted tries. Damian McKenzie, man who scored it, he is the second back of the day who has managed to score. But Ruben Love, he is making his way from the field. That is due to, by the looks of it, that knee injury, plus not wanting to risk him for any longer in this contest. Ireland managing to slap that ball back off the kickoff, but then knocking it on will be the scrum feed now for New Zealand. Amorbi to 15, says Dunk. Maybe either that or Jordan to 15. They can probably go either way. Okay, by the sounds of it, Justin Marshall saying Will Jordan will be at fullback, although I think they also said that Morby could have been. We have the How's Hamish. Says Akele doing very well. Glad they scored. I thought you might burst the blood vessel when the build-up went on much longer. Says Mark. See there, Rico Ioane and Billy Proctor both smiling, seeing that try scored by Damian McKenzie. Morbius fitter. Says Megan. Also, we have fitter than Will Jordan. We have got there. Is there enough time for Ireland to come back? Says Xander. If they score next, maybe, but they have to get in a bit of a streak going now in terms of the next 2 or 3 tries have to all be Ireland. Patrick Tuipulotu, he will make his way off the field for what was a brilliant performance from Tuipulotu when first coming back for his first All Blacks minutes of 2026. Anton Segner moves on in that number 19 jersey, and Vai transitions into the locking duo. And D-Mac has shown up at Eden Park tonight, bro. And we also do see a change for the Irish too. It's going to be Sean Janssen. We have got there. How has this happened? It's been eventful, this matchup. We have got there. Done deal, I'd say, says Sham there. And Bullabro says Asala. Yeah, Ireland. Of course, they were one of the sides that did take on the Japanese. And we have seen Japan game up against the French. Has now just kicked off quick. Taken off the back for Roigard after the All Blacks were awarded the free kick. Nice draw and pass from Quinn Tobias. Clark breaks through 1 tackle and first run of the day. Already makes some 20 metres. Fletcher Null also out there replacing Lomax. Now Roigard across again. McKenzie has transitioned into the number 10 jersey now in this contest due to that Love change. And penalty awarded to Dan Sheehan, who again is not happy with the All Blacks after the penalty has been awarded with what they're doing with ball in hand. We have got their yellow card for Ireland, says Kian. And Howdy Doodle says Clash there, welcome in. And good on you, D-Mac. That should keep his haters quiet for a few minutes, says Robert. And that one's going to go into touch. And we have got their live stream is 15 minutes behind. When I'm watching, I'm in London, says Laughing there. But Roygaard, he saw the opportunity to just go for it off that free kick, and it is something that the All Blacks have looked to do, push the tempo. It was great work from Dan Sheehan initially, made the tackle, and then hands locked straight over the ball. Roygaard was not happy about it one bit. After that, it takes 15 months to the World Cup, and it seems the All Blacks are constantly growing to a great level, says Daniel. And is it 3 weeks until the next game? So the next game that is going to be taking place for New Zealand will be up against the Stormers. That is in 3 weeks' time. Next round of the Nations Championship taking place in around 110 days' time. So there is a little while and not much international rugby that's actually taking place soon. Will be a bit of a shame. Another change being made for the Irish. We see Archie makes his way on for McCluskey. Now, there was a moment earlier on in the game when we did see Bundy Archie on the field. Now, Gibson Park cross to the right-hand side. Archie with a short pop pass into the hands of Janssen. Now, away to the left. Prendergast moves it on to Dan Sheehan. 20 minutes still remaining on the clock. Ireland are not completely down and out, but they would need to score in the next little while. Yep, see Rico grinning gives me the ick, you know. Says JP now, wide cut out pass there. Balakoon. One-on-one with Will Jordan. Can't get through on the outside. Clark joining the breakdown quickly as well. Don't we play the Bockies next month, says Horse? Yes, which is what we mentioned, how the next game of international rugby is 3 weeks' time for New Zealand, but the next round of the Nations Championship, which is this competition, is in 110 days' time. So this is round 3 of the Nations Championship. Round 4's in November. We would love to get another try. And also, Awesome Commentary says All Blacks. And there too, but the knock-on from Quinn Tupai around halfway. Just trying to regather that one. Wasn't quite able to. Now 19 and a half minutes remaining. Will Jordan will score. I got it. Thanks, mate. Says Horsefoot. No worries. And the Irish think they can come to our fortress and win. Oh, hang on. They are TMOing this one to decide whether or not Quinn Tupai has done an accidental knockdown or deliberate knockdown. Oh, okay. This will be interesting for Quinn Tupai because they've ruled it as he's only got one hand to it. He's gone at it with one hand. I think they're going to rule this as a yellow card for Quinn Tupai. They've said how it looks like he's tried to knock it backwards, that the only thing that stopped it from going backwards was actually his head. We have good work. We have a timed out Amon. He's just trolling, says Greek the Sacred. I didn't even know that Amon had been timed out. And we have got the Hamish, goodbye. Please remember me, says Cool Story. And Boring Game Island we're never in this game, damn, says T-Lo. Okay, 3-on-1 is the argument that Dan Sheehan's saying that it should be a yellow card, but it will just be a penalty. And all that's getting all the calls. That's definitely a yellow card, says LB. And we have it there, can't wait for the box, says Slick, and I'm stunned. Says Hanger at, oh, they're going for distance there. A little bit risky, but what a kick that is from the Irish. That'll be 5 metres out now from New Zealand's line. Andy Farrell just looked up at the coaching camera and went, as if to say, maybe he doesn't quite agree with the fact that that was just a penalty rather than a yellow. Now thrown in for Ireland, though, in a great attacking position on the field. Just to get the rolling maul going. New Zealand trying to defend it. I believe it's Tupovai who's got through the middle and trying to shut this one down from the get-go, but the ball is recycled. Now Gibson Park. Away to the right to Joe McCarthy. Had a bit of a fumble with the ball, but he's also still managed to make a couple metres. Gibson Park pops the ball up. The hands of Timoney. Conan up to Clarkson. He had a bit of aggression in the way that he ran that one forward. The All Blacks defending here just out from their goal line. Advantage for offside against the Kiwis. Now Tom O'Toole popping the ball up to Johnson. 3 metres short. Still advantage in play. Gibson Park again. They'll go with their flat attacking run from Clarkson next to the breakdown. Tyg Byrne pops it up to Nick Timoney. 1 metre short. Dragged down by Vai. Now Byrne again. looking away to the right, pops it up at the moment. Ireland, they're doing the same move over and over, and New Zealand seem to have worked it out, but when they change it, that is when the danger comes. Short ball, Prendergast goes away to the left. Hugo Keenan scores in the corner, and Ireland get their third of the contest. They are chasing the bonus point 2, ladies and gentlemen. 4 would get them there. They're up to 3. But Hugo Keenan, it was the over-the-top pass from Sam Prendergast. It looked like he was initially going to go with just that short ball to the side. And to be fair, short ball would have got him over too with Frawley, who has returned after getting the cut on the forehead. And we have got there, Ruben Love get another try. And let it be 42-19. I can smell it. So here's War Plunder. Well, this is going to be a relatively challenging kick too, to be fair. So the chance of 19 is on the cards if Prendergast can't get this one over. 17 minutes remaining. Oh, it's a great kick from Prendergast. Straight down the middle of the post and back to the 14 points difference. 35-21, still in favour of New Zealand here. Interception tries are one of the best and most interesting ones. Killing interceptions would be a shame. Says so incredible. And now is Quinton Pye still on the field. Says Dunk, I don't think they'll be too far off switching in for Anton Leonard-Brown. More than likely, clear line. A break on, diving with one hand, knock on, penalty, and obvious yellow card. Refereeing is poor. Says John there. And we have got their current best 9s, Grant Williams, Cam Roygaard, and Gibson Park. Says George. You got to throw, I would put Maxime Luku in that conversation too with what he's been able to do as of late for the French. Now, chance here, Gibson Park to be rolling this one back again. Still in, so unable to charge it down for New Zealand. I'm shocked no card was given. There was no way he was in a realistic position to catch that. And yeah, I think the reasoning behind Berry not giving a card was he said that the line break wasn't on. But as Sheehan alluded to, 3-on-1 on the outside does seem like there's a bit of a break on the cards. Tupavai sitting here 35 metres out from their own line here, New Zealand. Now rolling this one back again. And Roygaard down towards halfway. Doesn't get a huge amount of distance on it. Beautifully taken by Hugo Keenan. Ireland have the ball again round the halfway line. Backline movement. Bundyaki. Is he going to be someone who can change this game in the later stages for this Irish team? Ringrose. Ball on the outside to Balakoon. Had the man looping around the outside and Frawley didn't get it to him. Now Geordie Barrett wanted the steal. It's been ripped away out of the breakdown. McCarthy. Short ball to Johnson. Now across again to the left-hand side. Bundyaki. Oh, they've done brilliantly to keep that ball on their side, Ireland. No, referee rules it as a knock-on. Oh. Okay, so they've ruled it as hitting the defender. So even though Tom O'Toole was able to regather afterwards. Oh, I'll tell you what. It happened so quickly. I'm impressed that Nick Berry was able to see it. We have got their Rats looking good. Says the AI underdog. And I'd have given a yellow on a 3-on-1, says Peter Wild there. And I was at a knock-on, says Hanger Rat. So yeah, they've tried to rule it that it came off Quinton Pye. What an Prendergast here. He's gone for a little bit of a almost modified mullet, hasn't he? The way that he's got it. And Patrick needs another one. Patrick's no longer on the field, though. So unless there's an injury and lock and then they chuck him back in, more than likely he will not get himself another chance to be able to score. We are also 14 minutes away from the full-time whistle here, ladies and gentlemen. And any team with quick tries will shut the game. Yep. I will say with 14 minutes remaining here, if New Zealand score the next try here, the game's over. If Ireland score the next try, we have got a very intriguing last 15 or so minutes. I expect New Zealand rugby. I got the Brazil of rugby. And we have got their Kapolak play for South Africa. No. No, he's playing for England at the moment. He's also got no South African connection that I know of. Nick Berry should be nowhere near this level. Says Dunk there. However, the Irish media were saying we are going to unleash Bundyaki on the All Blacks. I think Bundy is feeling his age these days, although already he's had a couple decent carries, Bundyaki. As soon as he came on, Ireland started to look a little bit more aggressive with the ball in hand. Because he can just go out there and throw himself at the line now. We've got time off here for another scrum. Will be fed in by New Zealand inside of their own half. About 13 minutes remaining. We have there, why do us cool viewers even bother commenting when Hamish only reads out his favourite viewers' comments? Well, most of the stuff that you put, Jason, isn't worth reading. So I think that's why I skip a lot of yours. And also, it does just go very quick. So normally I look for the nice short ones. That's going to be a penalty to New Zealand around the halfway line. And Jordan needs to score, says Floyd Kingy. And I was up with the Irish scrum. It just hasn't quite gotten it right. Because Tom O'Toole's been out there for the whole time at the moment on the loose head side. And it still seems like they're going early in a majority of the scrums. So that is why New Zealand received the penalty that time. Anton Leonard-Brown, though, making his way onto the field. That is going to be for Quinn Tupaia. Well said, Hamish, says the master there. Now we have got their thoughts on Jacobson coming off of the bench rather than starting next game. I'm curious to know what they do with that 7 jersey, to be fair. Whether or not Jacobson finds himself starting against the box or whether they look towards, well, who else do you go with at 7, though, if you're Dave Rennie? Because you've got 7 options, but we haven't seen any of them get significant game time from that 7 position. And we have got there, Hamish is providing free commentary. You go easy on him, and Echo says LB. Oh, sorry, it says JP. Now Cam Roygar pass it away to the left-hand side. Artie Savia going away with Jacobson still on the flank. I assume Peter Larkai will make his way on for one of those two at some point in time. Is Anton Segner on? If so, how's he doing? He's made a couple tackles. Segner hasn't had a lot of ball in hand as of yet. But he did make his way on as the 6, and then they reshuffled Vai into the number 8, into the number 5 jersey. Now, going away right again, Roygaard. Moves it on, Leonard-Brown out to Will Jordan. Segner found himself way out on the wing there. I guess that's where Vai was, though, at times. A little bit of a miss pass from Vai. McKenzie dropped that ball, looked like a knock-on from Bundyaki, but it's picked up by Anton Leonard-Brown, in fact. Referee's just going to rule it as the knock-on advantage against the Irish here. Cam Roygaard moves it across to Luke Jacobson. Aki wanted the rip of the ball. Now McKenzie across again to Artie Savia. France 7, Japan 3. Okay, so quick fire start for the French yet again. Japan have done all right, though, throughout their contest, to their credit, with the... Well, in fact, no, you'd say with the first game up against the Italians being their best. Now Roygaard looking for the pick and go again. Now breaking the line there. Pure pace from Caleb Clark as he gets through another one. Moves up to the 22, but extremely quick off the mark for the replacement 23. Roygaard moves it on to Jacobson. Savi a bit isolated. Tackled by Arki. Will be set again for New Zealand to shift this one away to the right-hand side. Asafua Moore moves it across to Barrett. Vai thought about going for the pop pass. Segner plays half away to McKenzie. Now Leonard-Brown. Let's run straight at Gary Ringrose. Now another quick fire step there. Up to Asafua Moore. Fletcher Null now. New Zealand starting to move it around quite nicely. And the Irish defence starting to tire. We saw that with Bundyaki. Now Morby dragged down about 20 metres from the line. Almost a turnover for Johnson, but he's been told no. I went South Africa versus New Zealand. First one's taken place in just over a month, I believe. Big run from Segner as he moves to 10 metres out. Leonard-Brown, pick and go, tackled low by Joe McCarthy. 10 minutes still on the clock in New Zealand, looking to get up to that 42 scoreline like they had the last time these two sides met at Eden Park. It's up or more. 1 metre out from the line. Pick and go from Bay. Again will be short. Bundyaki has to get out of there. Roygaard. He hasn't scored as of yet in this game, but he won't just yet. Morby. Oh, big shot on him by Rob Bellacoon. Brilliant spot defence from the Irish winger. Barrett plays half. Cross to Josh Lord now. The All Blacks, they're up to 18 phases. We have, of course, seen more phases between the two sides ended by a certain Sam Whitelock in a certain matchup a little while ago. Will Jordan. Ball's still there. Cam Roygaard up to Anton Segner. Just waiting for their opportunity to sneak 1 or 2 extra metres at the moment here. We have your mods and nuts, Amish. I went to school with Andy Porter and Jordan Lama. Play rugby with them. And they time me out for saying it. Yeah, see, that seemed pretty rough. The thing is, with the streaming software I've got, I can't see when people are getting timed out. But hopefully they aren't just randomly timing you out for the sake of it. That would be slightly disappointing. We have the run now from Cam Roygaard. Almost had the ball ripped off him. Nick Berry says it went back. 9 minutes now on the clock. 24 phases in a row. Will Jordan, short side, not quite hung on to by Hugo Keenan. Frawley told to get out of it. Roygaard very slow getting back up to his feet here. But he is back up now. Now ball is still there for Roygaard. They'll go off to the right, 26 phases in a row. That's an ugly shot on Geordie Barrett. Looked like he took a shoulder to the head from Bundy Arkey, but the penalty is awarded to the Irish. Brilliant, gutsy defending from the side. Again, the New Zealand just score to one more time and it's game over. I hope you're not the one timing him out, Johnny, for no reason whatsoever. Try not to abuse the moderator powers that you have got. Luke Jacobson get another try. Says Kian there. And Morning Fluff says Eric. That one hasn't found touch from Sam Prendergast. That is upsetting for the Irish after doing so well, just to give the All Blacks another attacking chance. Damien McKenzie moves up to 40 metres out. The big driving tackle from Arkey yet again. Now away to the left-hand side, Caleb Clark. There is the first receiver. And 42-21, so it would be a very similar scoreline to what we saw a few years ago between these two teams. Now Kieran Frawley has kicked that one into touch. An Ireland suck, says LaRue. BS, it should have been a penalty, says Matthew there. And also one more try, New Zealand wrap it up. Right, sounds like Peter Larkai now about to make his way onto the field here. Why don't they show the illegal clean-out from the All Blacks? Methinks it's very bad and sanction will come. Says LB. And who's coming on? Peter Larkai is coming on, and that is for Luke Jacobson. And Cortez Ratima also making his way out onto the field. That is for Cam Roygaard. One second, we'll go like that. And we'll go like that as well. And we have there T20 final day, says Eric. Now we over there, game time, says the AI Dog. Now going away to the right-hand side. Chance here for Ireland on a counter-attack. They're 14 points down, but they've still got some left in the gas tank. Frawley, well, hung on to by Anton Leonard-Brown. If QS says 42 is on the way, says, I'll tell you what, if they're not careful here, the All Blacks, 28 could be on the way. Gibson Park, the attacking chance here with Bundy Arkey. Larkai given 6 minutes or so at the end of this game to try and change the matchup. Get New Zealand that little bit more of a lead here. Now back across to the left-hand side. Tyg Byrne, I should say. Off to Balakoon, who's a long way off his wing. Tegner wanted that turnover straight away. Cheers from Dunedin. And All Blacks looking good under Rennie. Oh, it's a cross kick there. Frawley out wide, steps around Clark, but Jordan was there and ready to try and take an extra roll penalty. Goes the way of the All Blacks. Oh, quick tap taken by Damien McKenzie, trying to get round Prendergast, who puts him towards the touchline, very close to the sideline. Larkai with the miracle offload, and it has worked out nicely back to Leonard Brown. He'll look to kick it downfield, and it's a brilliant veteran-like kick from Leonard Brown there to take them back to the halfway line, but it is still all-out pace between these two sides. And what a passage of play, says Angarat. Yeah, they have gone aggressive from the get-go, both of these sides. Kikaha All Blacks get the ball to Will Jordan, says Hipper, and he made a brilliant tackle there to stop the chance of a counter-attack for the All Blacks, for the Irish. And we have got their hands over the ball through Will Jordan, says Sash. But the penalty was for rolling, says Sash in there too. Now ready for another line out. It is Ronan Kellar. Also, Gibson Park has been taken from the field. Craig Casey to replace him. Now taken by Ireland, 40 metres out from their own try line. McCluskey goes back across to the left. Ringrose moves it on to Sam Prendergast. Another grubber attempted in behind. Awkward bouncing ball. Beautifully picked up by Hugo Keenan, but then the drop from Balakoon. Counter-attack now for New Zealand. Savia flicks it with the forward pass by the looks of it. Out to Josh Morby, who's doing a bit of footballing. Out by the wing. Ball ripped away by New Zealand now. Peter Larkai, although the penalty will go back for the initial Ireland penalty there. We have the ref team. I'll be getting a good night out in Auckland tonight. After this is played, says STC. And also there's so much going on. Yeah, neither of these sides are slowing down. I would have thought by now we would have hit a bit of a wall here for the teams, but it seems like Ireland know that if they want to get back into this game, they really need to score within the next couple moments. On the other side of the equation, it's the All Blacks just need one moment, and that should get them to the end of this game. But the Irish, they aren't giving up. We have got there, how do you pronounce Tyke? Like tie, as in like a tie, and then g. So Tyke. Is that a good way of describing it, or probably not really? I suffer more with another offload there to Morby. Passes up to Lakai, who moves to 22 metres out. So the All Blacks again on the counter-attack. 3 minutes remaining on the clock now. Morby plays half. Again, the All Blacks, they don't really need to be in full-on speed mode here. They could instead just cruise to the final whistle, but it seems like they still have a little bit more that they want to get done in this contest. Cortez Ratama popping the ball up to Lakai. 3 minutes now remaining. We have got their drop goal. Then Ireland have to score 3 times. We got there, your anti-New Zealand chat is ugly, says Johnny. Who was that to? But now going away to the right, Cortez Ratama. Now popping it off 6 metres out from the line. Ratama waiting to get that next pass. Wide Johnson was close to getting the steal. Now Segner, couple metres out for New Zealand. Now Clark, he's playing halfback. Long way off the wing. Now Savia moves it on to Lord. He's dragged down just a couple metres short. Savia pops it up to Lakai again. Now Ratama pops it up to a Safwa Moore. Although Ty Bird getting in the breakdown. Is he on the ball? No, he's told to get out of it by Nick Berry again. Back still there for the All Blacks if they want to use them. Although it looks like the forwards are looking to get the job done right next to the breakdown. Ratama again looking off left. Goes in behind McKenzie. Thought about the wide cut out pass. Jordan offload to Leonard Brown. And down the wing he goes. Scores the try. And now we're very similar to the 2022 scoreline at Eden Park between these two teams. But Leonard Brown off the bench. He did well up against the Italians. It booked him a spot off the bench for this game too. We have got there from Clav. Good job, dude. We watched some dude from South Africa and he was bad. Go hard, mate. Much love from Australia. And we have got Australia's game around the corner. We are covering their match up against the Italians, as well as 3 more matches after that as well. So anyone who is new, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It is greatly appreciated, but a great finish as well from New Zealand in the corner for Leonard Brown. Is it weird that I'm not impressed with either side? It doesn't surprise me though, LB, because from what you've said before in the past, you're not the biggest fan of either team either. We have got there, you'll be well done, the All Blacks. And we're game over, says Iron Lion. And there as well. They're just saying there about how strong this Irish side can be. Sadly, they didn't quite find their best mark out there at Eden Park today. Now McKenzie for his first kick of the contest. And it's missed away to the left-hand side. So 40-21, the way that the scoreline sits now. The only difference compared to the 2022 match is the fact that the All Blacks have 2 less points and Irish have 2 more. And we have got there, try time old boy. Scored down the wing, says Matthew. Now we have got there, this game we're getting better, improving slowly. Surely for South Africa, says Joseph. Now kicked off by Ireland, looking to retain the ball. It's knocked back into the hands of Ireland yet again. Sam Prendergast, yes, that's poor. I don't know what happened there, although it's still going to be play on. Ball's still on the side of Ireland, but it seemed like there was a massive miscommunication there. Short ball popped up again now for a bit of a counter-ruck from the Kiwis. Craig Casey moves it across to the right to Gary Ringrose. 10 seconds remaining. Segner rips the ball away for New Zealand. Lord with the pass on the outside of Clark. It was just a little bit too far out in front. We'll go back for the Irish scrum. Oh, in fact, no, we're just going to call it full time, says Nick Berry. Sam Prendergast can't quite believe it, as it looked like we were early on the clock, still another 5 or so seconds remaining. But he's going to call it there, Nick Berry. And I think that, yeah, the Irish are asking that question. Of course, we've got to remember, had they scored one more try here, they would have received a bonus point for the Nations Championship standing. So they will leave this game with 0 in this scenario. We have got there after a seesaw, that Italy against Ireland. I know it was after the New Zealand versus Italy, says War Plunder. I always tune into Hamish, watch alongs for Leinster and Ireland games because he explains the game well. The timeouts are mad. Come on, Johnny boy, man up. It's only banter. Says aim on there. Yeah, I mean, I looked at the message you got timed out for, and it was interesting to say the least in terms of I wouldn't have thought that it would have got you timed out. We have got there, Will Jordan got a big let off. I don't think it's a turnover because he doesn't let go. Big moment and arguably wrong call, in my honest opinion. Says Gaddafi. Hopefully I've said that correctly there, but New Zealand, they have won this game 40 points to 21. It was an eventful 80 minutes, though, I do have to say. I've seen you've got rid of that message from him as well, Johnny. You need to settle down a little bit with your moderating if you can. We have there brilliant Hamish, thanks again, says Bill Walker. We have the All Blacks too good. Says Martin, I love Hamish's streams. Best South African streamer, says Jason. And also we have the Razor the Star, says Nicholas, and Ireland were terrible. And well done, Hamish, says Lord Rapture. The old Black Magic has me in a spin, says Hipper there. They are just interviewing Damien McKenzie after this performance. Thank you, Hamish, says Ty Smith, and thank you, an awesome commentary as always, Hamish. Rest well and see you next game. So yeah, next match we are going to be covering, we'll be starting up in 50 minutes time. So be sure to stick around for that one as well. It is going to be Ireland versus, oh sorry, it's not Ireland, they just played it. It's Italy versus Australia. We don't want to see you, we want to see the rugby. Well, you're a bit late, Michael. The game's already finished. So you've butchered that in terms of your timings. But yeah, game is completed. 40 points to 21. Sorry if that's a spoiler in terms of the scoreline, but that's what the score was. We have good there. No excuse made. All Blacks were just too good. Says Jay there. And All Blacks discipline still poor. Says Royal Sheepdog. An awesome game. All Blacks well commentator. Says John. And there too. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like. And of course, subscribe to the channel too. We are back in 50 minutes time for the next one.